welcome everyone to our last big Habitat Council meeting. Our next one will be a shorter one. We just kind of go over funding for specific projects and see where we're at with the budget. But today is our meeting focused on big game projects, and appreciate everybody being here. Austin's joining us online. Kobe is on the stairs coming up, and Blake is on his way, I think. But we have a quorum, so we're moving ahead. Before we jump in, thanks. Mine is going blank. I was looking at Melissa. So Allison, Melissa, Daniel, Lisa, and the AV team for helping us out today. So as a reminder, this meeting is being live streamed, and so just keep that in mind. Before we jump in, let's do some quick introductions for people here at the table. We'll start down here with Allison.
I'm Allison Whitaker, Habitat Conservation Coordinator. With my mouthful.
Melissa Landine. What is my title?
Habitat Conservation Programs Biologist.
Habitat Conservation Programs Biologist.
Tyler Thompson, WRI Director.
Blake Millett, Sport Fishing Representative. Awesome.
Jeremiah Cornia, Waterfowl Representative.
Awesome.
Lisa Graham, DWR.
Angie Wanaka Upland.
Peter Cushing, Aquatic Section Chief.
All right, and I'm Eric Edgley, the Habitat Section Chief and Chair of the Council. Kobe, you want to introduce yourself?
Kobe Jones, the Wildlife Section Chief.
Okay. Thanks. And Austin.
Austin Atkinson from Cedar City, representing Big Game.
Thanks, and thanks for joining us online. And okay. I'll remind the staff that are here, if they're going to be presenting a project, remember to introduce yourself at that point. And okay. First thing we need to do is approve our minutes from our last meeting. And before we get a motion on that one, Allison, can you give us just a summary? There was one project that we ended up splitting up. Can you tell the council where we ended up between us and Blue Ribbon and the result of that?
So,
Sure.
right. First, I'll show you on the spreadsheet. It's probably the easiest way to show it. Melissa has added all of the money that was approved at the ECP Expo meeting. That's it on here.
We'll talk about that in a second.
But then with the Blue Ribbon, we've added the monies that they have approved. And with that, the one, I guess, is Northeastern Region. This, we changed this Browns Park Improvement Project to just include the boat ramp. And so that's $112,500. It didn't rank well with Blue Ribbon, so they're asking $112 from us on that. So, anyway, so that's where we landed with that one.
But we had approved it, that portion of it here already. And so.
Yep. And we didn't approve the other, and that's, right. That's showing in the minutes here, splitting those two parts apart, and then just approving the whole bunch.
But Blue Ribbon did agree with us to split that project up.
But even the boat ramp didn't rank well.
Yeah. That one was kind of weird. I ended up being kind of weird for the numbers. But I think the council was probably confused a little bit by what they were ranking, and so I think there was a little bit of confusion there. But anyway.
So what we'll do with it here is at our final funding meeting, we can bring that up. Is that something that we want to fully fund out of this council, or do we want to push it or not? And that's at that point review and make any additional decisions on that. So with that, I need a motion to accept these minutes and approve them to move forward for consideration from the director's office based on the voting that we did.
Motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, got a motion from Blake, a second from Jeremiah. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Okay, motion carries. All right. ECP meeting. So week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, we had our external conservation permit meeting that went off really well. We reviewed 60+ projects at that meeting. Is that
Ended up being 87 projects.
okay? 87 projects, but we actually looked at. So it was busy. Tyler was hoarse at the end of the meeting.
I skipped the last break and no one said anything.
Meant to do that, right?
That's how you get 90 projects in, I guess.
I guess. But the outcome is almost 6.5 million of expo and banquet and other funds from contributing groups, sportsmen's groups, conservation groups, to wildlife habitat, migration, research. I don't know, Kobe, what other projects were there that?
Flights, captures.
Yeah. So all of those things, but we're committed to good wildlife habitat projects. So just really happy about that, and I just really appreciate the groups coming with not only, yeah, I mentioned that one. So expo money, but even your own banquet money. Just really, really great effort from them to do that. And so you want to bring up that list, the end of the agenda really quick, just look at it. So what we're going to show you, and it's on the agenda sheet, so that last page. So a lot of those projects, some of those would have come here today, but because they were fully funded at that meeting, we'll just do a group approval at the end. Or actually, we'll probably just do that right now. But
Just do with the last meeting.
that's right. Okay,
Use
we'll do it then.
on this so that you guys.
We'll
have
do it
time to
then.
look at it.
Yeah, we'll do it then. So like I said, some of these would have come here, some of them just maybe not, but there was interest, and so they got funded, and they're all good projects. So a lot of them are guzzlers, a lot of water development projects, which are always good.
There are projects that did not go through WRI.
Right. So anyway, so that reduces our workload today some, but it's all good, and it helps us get further down that overall list of shovel-ready projects that our regions and others have brought to us. And so they work hard and to get to this point, and just really appreciate everybody's work to get here. So, but yeah, we will review, or give you a chance to review those over the next couple of weeks till we meet again. And then if you want to discuss any of these next time, then we can do that. But these are fully funded, so those will all happen. There's no more decision making on that. All right.
I also wanted to bring up at the bottom of this spreadsheet, these were projects that were presented to you guys earlier in the year that did get fully funded, and so they've been moved down to the bottom here.
So again, that helps us to work further down the big list of projects that are being reviewed. So we'd love to see this. And this is not the only time this happens. We get other buckets of money come in, and it just keeps pushing us down that list, and it's good that we can keep going.
So with these getting funded, can we see where each of the?
Yeah, that'd be good to see today. But this is all based on total requests, right, for money. So maybe explain what those are. I mean, you have the big game.
Yeah, so that top row is the amount that's available The second row here is what we have presented to you guys or will present today and the amounts that we've requested on those. And so this is the amount that each of those accounts are over. And so next meeting, we'll have to do some major cutting, particularly in this column and prioritizing those projects. But we're quite over on this one too. This one I'm not too worried about because once we start cutting this one, this will go down because a lot of those have a little bit of upland game in the wildlife or in the big game.
So we're in the red almost,
Oh, no, but
Yeah,
but almost $3 million, $2,800,000
4 million total.
total, but in big game.
Yeah.
Yeah, but a big chunk of that is the Gordon Creek one.
yeah,
Mhm.
I was gonna mention, we're not gonna tease TJ too much.
I'm sorry.
But that's okay. We'll talk about that at the next meeting too. And you're not presenting that again today, are you? Yeah, so there's options there.
I'm just used to fish being in the black and everybody trying to
I
take my
know,
money.
right?
Yeah, this year they
Yep.
have a lot more.
They must
Your
have seen
guys'
that from the
project.
last couple of years and thought, we'll just ask more from fish, and they all did it.
That's good.
It is good. That is absolutely what we want to see. Yeah, we end up on these having to lop some projects off the bottom end, but what that means is that the really good projects are up at the top. So, and then often they get retooled and made better and come back the next time. So that's just how the process works, and it's great, and it's okay that sometimes you don't make it. You win some and you lose some, and so it's all good. But all right, any other questions before we jump in? Anything else from you, Allison? Okay. All right, we're gonna jump into our first project then. We'll jump back up to the top of the list. We're starting with Central Region in 7690, Soldier Creek Watershed. Robbie,
Where do you want me to stand?
come up here behind Allison.
All right, yeah, Robbie Edgley, Habitat Restoration Biologist in Springville. And this is a project that, that's multi-phase projects. A lot of partners are involved on this one. A lot of different aspects. As you can see, there's kind of a ton of little polygons there, but starting on the south end there, we're asking for some money to do some BDA work in the stream. And there are Bonneville cutthroat trout. This is Lake Fork Creek. And went and shocked it last summer with our aquatics crew. And it's intermittent in spots later in the summer. So we're hoping put some BDAs in and release beavers. We've been working with the Forest Service to get this planned. And so we're hoping that we can make that a more perennial stream and improve the habitat, the wetland habitat around the stream as well, and improve the fish habitat diversity. And then that little point there is a culvert. That's a fish barrier. So working with Trout Unlimited, they're gonna help with the engineering of that and hopefully put in a new culvert that will allow for fish passage. Because there's another tributary that runs up pretty far up to the east there that will allow fish to go up and spawn. And moving up to the north, you can barely see it, but in Dairy Fork Creek, just a little bit down, I'll see. Right there, there's going to do some more beaver dam analog work in there as well in Dairy Fork. After the fires, it's really incised. It's 20-foot incisions. And there's head cuts, so we're also going to do some Z-dike structures where we put rock, basically rock steps, basically to keep it from continuing to a road and head cut. And then those polygons there are old chainings that we've done on our Dairy Fork WMA, and the junipers are just coming back. So we're going to go in and retreat that, as well as do some herbicide, hire a contractor to help spray the thistle that's coming in there. And then on the north side, we did some shrub plantings with our Mad Max dozer. We fill the rows and then plant. We just want to make sure that we don't get any weeds coming in. So we just are asking for some additional money to hire a contractor to help spray weeds. And then down in there, like I said, the fires, Coal Hollow fire, and I think it was 2019, caused a lot of erosion in that stream. And so working with the Utah Water Conservancy, Watershed program, and Forestry, Fire, and State Lands are working with the private landowners there to do some stream restoration work. They're applying for some outside funding for that hopefully we'll get as a match, and then doing some more treating of old juniper treatments, chainings as well. You can see in along when you're driving down Highway 6, you see those big openings there. That's that area, and it's just regrowing. So we're gonna go in and retreat that. And then those are some trough systems that we're wanting to put in to help spread water across for livestock, but also will benefit wildlife. And then lastly, to the east there, there's some aspen stands that are getting encroached by juniper. I want to go in and thin out the juniper and get some aspen regeneration. So really hitting summer transitional range for big game, mule deer, elk, moose. I think there's some moose in that area as well. And turkeys and ruffed grouse are in that area as well. Fish, aquatic side of things. So if you go to photos. So this just shows the juniper that's coming in. So it's still small. We can retreat it with the lock and scatter crew, and it's a lot cheaper. We hit it now. Here's those aspen stands that are getting junipers coming in. So we will thin that out. More of the old chains. This is that pipeline that we're looking at doing. And we're working with the permittee on private land. So there's NRCS money coming as well. There. Something to the stream. So there's the stream there, showing the erosion that's happening after the fire. This is Dairy Fork as well. So just hoping to get, it's been multiple years after these fires, and so hoping to get in there and do some good things to start healing that stream system. Yeah, that's good. Go to the budget. So yeah, there's some, if you go out there, we are asking money from other sources, the Division of Water Quality, point source, asking if they put in a grant. So hopefully we'll get that money. The Division of Forestry, Fire, and State Land is involved as well. We're asking for around 400,000 total. Yes, it's a 2-year project, so 400 first year and then about 90 the second year. That's kind of how I split it out, open to revisions of that.
That 20,000 is just an ask for this year. Probably come back next year, right?
Yeah.
For the other part.
Yeah.
What's the timing on the approval on that forestry fire money, do you know?
Any questions for Robbie on this one? Okay. Have a motion. Looks like a good project.
I'll make the motion to approve it.
A second.
Okay, a motion from Tyler and a second from Drew. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Okay, that one passes. All right. Thanks, Robbie. Okay, next one, 7772 Wasatch Front Watershed Restoration.
So this one's obviously a huge project and several years ongoing.
Remember to introduce yourself.
Oh, sorry.
No problem.
Danny Bordeaux, habitat restoration biologist and a partner position with the U.S. Forest Service. So we have 496 acres of hand cut and pile.
Hmm.
And then
Sorry. What you want to look?
yeah, the map gets kind of complicated because of everything that we've got going on, but we have BDAs on 2 creeks. Trout Unlimited is one of our partners, US Forest Service, obviously. Trout Unlimited providing posts. Then there's going to be a burn of 90 acres. There is seed to reseed the burn areas and myrtle spurge areas, areas where myrtle spurge has been treated. Then up Immigration Canyon, there's going to be a fire break with the brush hog. 412 acres hand cut and pile on Salt Lake City land and US Forest Service land. And then there's money for archaeology and botany surveys. Then we have oak thinning and mastication retreating in Parley's, garlic mustard treatments, more Gamble oak retreatments, City Creek fuels treatments, Parley's oak retreatments, seeding, money for seeding and coordinating volunteers, and DWR taking most of the funding on myrtle spurge treatments ongoing. Sageland with beaver coexistence, BDAs, and volunteer events, along with Trout Unlimited again. Cottonwood Canyons Foundation, myrtle spurge, and other Salt Lake County myrtle spurge. Then there's lop and scatter and stump treatments, or oak stump treatments, 240 acres of that. Cottonwood Canyon Foundation matching funds, and Hogle Zoo doing monitoring. Salt Lake City Trails and Natural Lands doing myrtle spurge at Parley's Point and on the Bonneville Shoreline Trail, and then treating Phragmites in the lower City Creek. And then we have a line item on there for DWR seasonal employee. So it's a pretty extensive project. And if you have any questions, Robbie will take them.
Okay, any questions for Danny or Robbie?
Robbie, your compliance section mentions NEPA for Cottonwood Canyon being completed in this spring. How's that going?
I think it's on track. I haven't talked to them lately, but they have a couple of.
You haven't heard otherwise? Huh?
Yeah, we haven't heard otherwise.
We can try to check into that.
Yeah,
other
we
than
can
say-
check that before you make the
No news is good news?
No, not with. That's not how
No
NEPA
news
works.
is
Yeah, we'll check on that.
It was supposed to be done last year, so.
Yeah, I know. That's why.
It's a relatively small ask from Habitat Council. What are the percentage breakdowns?
100% thinking.
Huh. That's still right.
If you're gonna fill an up one, you should just stop talking.
Definitely gonna be bad.
I mean, it's not a lot of money, but that's not an accurate representation of what's going on in the project, so.
How was this one gonna rank out in WRI?
I think it was
Number 3 in the region.
19th statewide. A little, they'll get some help. They get $1 million if it's asking for it. But
So 2-year project or 1 year?
it's multi-year, but they've been asking for funding each year.
Okay.
The requested WRI for 27 is 925,000.
Okay. So I guess back to Kobe, is you interested in entertaining an adjustment on the percentage?
If others are, I mean, it's not just like this area where this is happening. It's a good project. It's also not an area where like we can grow big game populations and have like, we've got once in a lifetime species up there that are pretty important. We've got some other stuff, but you're never going to have thriving, robust big game populations up there because there's nowhere for them to come. There's nowhere for them to winter. And so like, yes, I do think the investment is worth it. I think it's important. I don't want to say that it's not, but this isn't just a big game project. It's a small amount of money, but that's really big.
And there's a bunch of fish stuff on there in the species.
I'll split it with you, Drew, if you'll split it with, I'll split it with you guys, say 50-50.
I agree. I have the same comment though, you know, these types of projects along the Wasatch front. The Bonneville work that, you know, we wanted done is done, which makes projects like this from the conservation perspective, fairly low priority. You know, I'd like to see some benefit to some other species that really need it. But these types of projects are important just from a, you know, restoration perspective. So
They are important. Like, yeah, it's an important, good project. And I would love to see the municipalities more invested, because the truth is, this is probably more for their resilience over time. And they're invested. I mean,
Yeah, they're involved there. There's a lot of it, but the WRIS is pretty significant.
Yeah.
So I've split it the same probably percentage that the last one was. It looks very similar, right?
Oh, so not 50-50 like Kobe suggested.
What is it? What was the last one?
It was 70, 2010.
I don't know if that's right. Maybe 70. Yeah, the other way around.
Yeah, agreed. I think that's,
You good, Angie?
Yeah.
Sure.
That's probably close to representing like what it is.
Cause you only said there were 2 streams you were working on, right?
There's only like
there's
4
sport fish
streams in the whole
there,
area.
though, right?
What's that?
The streams.
There's sport fish.
there's cutthroat. I mean, but it's not a priority sport fishery either. I mean, it's just not. So, I mean, but the restoration is important, I think.
Yeah,
But
you
you
do
know,
the
so,
restoration and you preserve some of their lives.
right. So from that perspective, I appreciate it.
Okay, good motion on this one.
Motion to approve.
With adjustments
With
to
the adjustment.
percentages. Okay, do I have a second?
I second.
Okay, got a motion from Blake and a second from Drew. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Okay, motion passes. All right. Good feedback on this.
I
think.
want to reiterate, it's probably unfair to say this. And Drew and I both said it, but they're good projects. They're necessary projects. They're just, yeah.
Well, and sometimes in those areas, even from a big game perspective, those aren't as huntable.
It makes it really hard. It's hard to get access to fish a lot of times. Like
It is. And that's why, you know, at some point we have to turn a corner and say we're kind of, you know, where we need to be with Bonneville cutthroat trout and start, you know, projects on other species that are in more dire straits. That's all.
All right. Okay. All right. 12 Mile.
So this one is one that really was instigated by mule deer benefits. A few years back, studies were showing that there's a predator effect on the population in the south end of the Manti. And we wanted to make sure that they did some release, got more hunting pressure going to help address that before the changes to the cougar policy happened. And we wanted to make sure that we were making sure the habitat was there to help the population as they rebound. So we worked with sportsman groups, helped fund the cultural surveys, and get the NEPA done. So now in 12 Mile, we've been working about 5 years now, actually on the ground doing treatments. And this is the next phase. So it's really exciting. I want to do a field tour up there soon and show what it's doing. We got cut and pile work in the aspen stands up in the high elevation there. And then they burn the piles, and the aspen is just coming back and really rejuvenating and improving that summer habitat for big game, deer and elk primarily. And then we're going to do some stream restoration as well. It's actually called Beaver Creek. And just the culture down there has been anti-beaver for a long time, and so a lot of the beavers have been removed from areas where they used to be, and so we're just working to get BDAs back in there to try to get the stream health back, and then we've been releasing beavers in this drainage as well, trying to get old beaver ponds back and stream health better. So try and take a holistic approach to treating the uplands as well as the riparian areas. Kind of cool thing I noticed a couple of years ago for deer and these BDAs projects. It was a really hot day, and I was checking out one of our BDA and beaver release areas, and there was a deer that was just hanging out right there. And what I noticed was the temperature was drastically different from just 50 feet away to right there by where the ponds were. And so I do think that they, not only for the added vegetation, but also for thermal, better, cooler areas, I think they like those habitats. So definitely not just a fish benefit, but also big game and turkeys as well. A lot of turkeys in this area will benefit. And then this polygon to the west is called Order Mountain, and we've treated in previous phases, we've treated the area to the west. It's all been bullfrogged already. And so we kind of did that to run up slope. So now we can do a burn in this area, this polygon, all the way, run it all the way up to the slope. So that's the plan this year, is to do a prescribed fire. And this is historically the biologist with the Forest Service I've been working with. He used to guide hunting, and he said back in the day there always was monster bucks that would hang out right here. And so we're excited to get that habitat back. Should be. So this is a slash line. They did some slash lines already on that hill slope last year, so that it'll be able to carry it through there much easier for fire. Some examples of piles and things that we've already been burning. They've got a good burn plan there, so we can not just burn the piles, but do a little.
Was that a flamethrower?
Yeah. I've got to run it. It's pretty awesome.
See, I didn't see that on career day in high school.
Yeah. That's the poster they need.
No, this is a great project.
Yeah, I can imagine it's probably ranked well in the region.
It was pretty good. It was in the high, I believe, on the low end of the high. So right on the tip there.
Okay.
I think our region, when projects have a lot of partners jump up, so it's hard to compete when you have 20 partners on the Wasatch Front project. That was kind of cool photo showing the past work we've done. So here's where we cut and piled and then burned. And so like I said, they were able to burn larger areas. This shows we've already done a lot of work in the area. But yeah, if anyone wants to go see that this summer, I'd love to take people up there. And this is kind of a cool photo. So this shows the bull hog work that we did. We thinned it out, and then we're gonna burn up slope from there.
Questions for Robbie on this one?
I have a question, just to understand the process. Did this project go to the conservation permit meeting
Yes.
and it was not considered? Is that how that worked?
I got money there.
I think it got like $250,000.
Yeah.
They just didn't fully fund it.
Got it.
Good question. Yeah, it's
Yeah, 235,000 from the sportsman's groups.
Perfect.
Do you look for a motion?
yeah.
No good for
All right, got a motion from Kobe and a second from Angie. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no.
I'll just say this one about this project. The only thing that bugs me about this one is that we're having to pay the Forest Service permanent employees to come burn their own land. That just bugs me. I think that they could pay for their own people to do that.
Yeah, but they're probably bringing in fire people.
Yeah.
Like,
It's a bigger crew.
what, yeah, they're bringing people in and like, dude. If you want to get it done on federal.
I know.
What was their financial contribution on this?
They're giving smiles and handshakes. I think.
Yeah,
Very kind there.
well, from Forest Service.
Oh, from the horses, sorry.
Yeah,
So I can see that crew back there.
there you go. Okay. All right. Okay. Last one for Central Region, Spring City Watershed.
Morning, everybody. I'm Jacob Hall. I'm the DWR NRCS partner biologist for Central and Southern Regions. And today I'll be presenting the Spring City Watershed Restoration Project. This is a multi-year project, high elevation summer range project on the Manti east of Spring City. So the main thing we want to do is restore healthy aspen ecosystems by thinning conifers that are encroaching into those aspen. A lot of these polygons are close to cabin communities as well, so it'll be a significant fire hazard reduction. So we do kind of a combination of lot pile burn, cut and deck, and then some low tech stream restoration, wet meadow restoration techniques as well. This is a top 3 project for deer, elk, and turkey in the Central Region. And there's a lot of partner funding that's already been committed to this project. There's funding committed and ready to use from the NRCS, Forest Service, Forestry, Fire, and State Land, and most recently the conservation groups, sportsman's groups. So they donated just north of $180,000 to this project recently. And this project will lead to improved habitat for big game and lead to increased hunting opportunities for the public. So a combination of Forest Service land and private land that's part of the CWMU, Bear Mountain CWMU.
Are we doing anything? So what's regen looking like inside the aspen with just thinning? Are we doing anything else? Are we tipping over any trees? Are we ripping anything or doing anything like that? Is there a need to do that? Do you have any photos of the aspens?
So that's in the project area.
I mean, do we have enough natural recruitment right now that we don't need to do anything else?
I think there's enough aspen there that it should respond well.
They're gonna burn the pile.
Burn the piles?
Yeah, the pile.
Trigger some.
So that's an example of some of the wet meadow restoration. And Forest Service is actually contributing quite a bit financially to this project.
Again, pretty low habitat council ask.
That's significant sportsman group contributions, which is
NRCS.
good.
Feels like a good
NRCS for the
project.
private stuff.
I think the only other question I have, some of it's private, like, so we're gonna go in this aspen. What does the grazing regime look like? Are we gonna get the recruitment we need? Do we have any plans to protect it or pull stuff off for a little bit or?
Yeah, so as part of their NFCS contract, they'll be required to rest the area
Okay.
from grazing.
And then
So the NRCS money will cover the private area essentially.
okay, and then just like, and that's,
So you have to protect it,
and
yeah.
then just keep an eye on like, are we getting the recruitment we need or is there further action that needs to be taken? It looks great.
Motion to approve it.
Okay, got a motion. Is there any other questions before we come too far into that? Okay, got a motion from Tyler and a second from Blake. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Okay, motion passed. All right. That takes care of our central region projects for today. We're gonna move on to Southeast Region. 7299 Salina Creek Phase 7 and 9. Wow.
7 through 9. I'm Evan Reese. I'm the habitat restoration biologist for the Southeast Region. This is a project that's Salina Creek projects have been going on for quite a while. Like you said, this is a multi-year project that was funded and started last year. But this is phases 7 through 9. They've done a lot of great work throughout there. It borders the southern region as well as the southeastern region. So far this year, just to update on what they've been doing since it's multi-year, they've burned over 12,500 acres throughout Ponderosa and Aspen to restore the understory in the Ponderosa, clear out some of those fuels and regenerate Aspen throughout this area, as well as they're working on some lop and scatter. For this next coming year, this phase, which we're looking for funding for now, is the bull hog that I think is highlighted, highlighted right there. They're going to be seeding and bull hogging throughout that area, as well as continuing with their prescribed burn throughout there. And it's pretty simple, pretty straightforward, just to increase the feed for mule deer and elk throughout that area, transitional winter range. Yeah, continuation of some great work. Bull hogging and seeding and continues prescribed burning for this year.
So can you characterize how this is ranking through WR and region?
So I guess I ought to qualify. This is probably the first one we've seen like this. So this is what we call a multi-year project. And a couple years ago in WRI, we started allowing and approving multi-year projects like this. So this was ranked well last year, approved for multiple years. So effectively, it's in the #1 slot in WRI in the second, third year. So what we're doing is we're basically saying, if we approve you for multiple years, we're guaranteeing your second and third year funding. And so it'll come back to the sportsman's groups on year 2 and 3. It'll come back to Habitat Council in year 2 and 3.
It looks like a lot of the organizations did fund it.
Yeah,
Last year we put 81, or this current year that we're in, put 81,760 Habitat Council on it. And then
and what was the conservation group for sure?
Let's see. Am I not seeing it? 90,000. And they contributed last year as well, a significant amount. So, last year.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Most of the big names there. Your SFW Mountain and Archery Association, Safari Club, RMF, Turkey Foundation.
Yeah, big chunk of us
FDF.
put money in last year and again this year. So
Oh, and Pacific Core. This is the one at Pacific Core. They came to us and wanted a good fuels project. We steered them towards this one. So that reduces the fiscal 27 ask significantly.
How much money did they?
320.
Yeah.
They can do more than that.
You're probably right, but still, this is not trivial. So,
So the Habitat Council asked
50.
And this was the split from the same split from last year.
and they're asking for 50 this year.
Yeah, 50 from us.
Yeah, makes sense.
And it's overall, it's what was it? 2 point, how many million project? 2.6 million project.
Why
So
72.99? Why am I showing 80? The website.
Oh, that's the FY26 amount.
Oh, that's 26.
That's
I'm
what's in there
sorry.
right now.
Thank you. Feels like a deal. A lot of partners, good projects, good stuff done. Let's do it.
Any other questions?
Let's do it.
Send it.
Let's grow some deer.
Austin's a big game guy. He's been pretty quiet.
I like this one. Cut it, burn it.
Let's do it, man. All right, looks like we're in.
Okay, let's have a motion.
Motion to approve.
All right, thanks Angie for being proactive, jumping on there. Second from Kobe. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Not for sure. Break my.
You know, just a comment, like, and I know this, a lot of times I have to cancel this, but man, it feels like in some of these projects, we're sure getting a lot for $50,000 to have that council money.
Yeah.
That's what that shows is a lot of work that has gone in.
Well, it shows a lot of work,
A lot of partners.
a lot of partners, and this is how we get further down that overall list is those we leverage all that partner funding and a great example of one that's working really well. So.
Yeah, and I won't take credit for it. The southern region's pretty well running it, but it's in both regions, but. Yeah, it's just a great project with a lot of.
You should
partners.
take
They rounded
credit.
out.
Yeah, take credit.
Well, I mean,
You're presenting, so take credit.
see, Kendall-
Shaking.
Kendall will let you have a little bit of credit.
Want to steal their money.
Yeah, so you're the face of it,
I
but
guess I'll
it's,
take some credit.
but it's Kendall and Jim that calls us and say, I need some more money. Okay, all right, next one. 7515 Abajo Mountain prescribed fire.
All right, this one is similarly a multi-year project that started last year and was funded last year. It's on Forest Service and they've been doing a lot of great work. They kind of had a slow start last fall, but then were able to burn over 5,000 acres, mostly on that larger polygon there, the North Oak Ridge polygon. A lot of ponderosa understory burning, some aspen regeneration burning. If you want to go to the project, that's a document. We had them give us kind of an update. It's, I think, that last one there, but it has some maps and stuff that kind of show a lot of the work they've done. If you scroll down a little bit, but that's a lot of the area they're burning and lines they cut. They have to do a lot of prep for their fuel break lines, and if you keep going, these are other areas, the shingle mill area. Those are all the lines they've cut and preparation they've done. And Mormon Pasture Mountain, a lot of mastication. So they've done a lot of great work this year, a lot of burning, and a lot of prep work for these future phases. And for this next year, it'll be money they're mostly funding it themselves, but with cuts in Forest Service funding, to be able to do it at all, they needed a little extra money to help pay for overtime for the fire crews and stuff. So it's another great project, and they've been really going to town and getting a lot of great work done and have the future phases pretty well prepped. So should be able to burn those these next couple of years.
Okay, questions for Evan on this one?
Yeah, can we look at the ECP for this year? I know we funded it. I know the NGOs funded it last year, but
Looks
can
like
we-
about 105,000.
for this year?
Yeah.
Okay. No, yeah, I just, look at it.
Okay.
$1.1 million project overall.
Tyler, you're gonna fund it, right?
Actually, if the Habitat Council money gets approved, that funds it with the sportsman's money. But yeah, I have to fund it. I've already committed to it. If
So
everybody else says no.
How about if we don't fund it?
Yeah.
You didn't want to say that out loud.
This is where we can save some money for that big deficit we have.
Yeah.
And you'll fund it anyway?
I will.
So can
I've
we
got
make
some
a
other
motion
spots on
that
there where
Tyler funds it?
I mean, from my perspective, if this group puts money on projects that I would also fund, it's gravy, no matter what, no matter where you put it.
The hardest part is like just looking at that some of that deficit, you're not gonna fund the infrastructure at Gordon Creek, right?
No.
Yeah, not,
But that is a priority for us.
it is. What we're gonna figure out other things on that one, probably.
What do you want to do, Eric? What do we think here? Like, how much funding this anyway?
I mean, it's, you know,
And this is why we're inviting you to our funding meeting.
yeah, I guess it's kind of sixes, whether we do it here, it's just, we're playing the game, right?
So what we're saying is we like the project.
Yeah.
All right.
And so even if Tyler funds it, then, I mean, either way, we're gonna get down to the same level at the bottom of the list.
All right.
Pretty much, so.
If it comes down to it, Tyler,
If this council likes this project, which I like it, the groups like it,
it's a good
I
project.
think we want to be part of
It
it,
should happen.
so that's my opinion.
I'll make the motion to approve it.
I'll second it.
Sure, you don't have to recuse? No, I'm kidding. We're all working together. I'm just kidding.
We'll fight it out of it.
No,
That's what
That's
I
not what we're
figured.
doing.
We'll just discuss
Okay.
it later.
got a motion from Tyler.
I
I
second
got a
it.
second from Angie. All in favor, say aye.
Bye.
Any opposed, say no.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, everyone.
Good project.
This side philosophical conversation about how far down the list, so.
I like the strategy a lot.
Okay, big money is here, so remember to introduce yourself, Big
Be
Money.
nice to him, man. He's doing
He
infrastructure
is.
we asked him to do.
He is.
So I'm TJ Cook. I'm the Habitat Manager in the Southeastern Region. So this project, 77 cents for Porphory Bench Revival. This project started probably 10 plus years ago. We had a tree planter out there on site. We planted several thousand, I don't remember if it was 20,000 or 30,000 sagebrush seedlings way back in the day. The history prior to that, you can see all the lines. They did a brush treatment in that area. Shoot, how many years before the planting with the cutworm infestation?
I mean, this was what started WRI, was where the big sagebrush die-offs occurred. 2004, we started doing work out there.
So yeah, 2004. They did some brush treatments in this area, trying to save some of that sagebrush. And then roughly 10 years ago, we went back into some of those areas and did some planting within some of those strips that had less sagebrush. Some of it took, but what we found is the ones that we were able to put a plant protector around, those are the ones that ultimately have made it. And then if you go to the photos real quick, there's some pictures of some of them to kind of show the hedging that's occurring out there. So the deer are keeping these sagebrush plants to the plant protectors. They hedge everything back clear to that point. But the awesome thing is we're starting to see some seedlings occur in the area. So if we plant this plant, it will grow. Yes, it gets hedged, but it's a seed source. And then we're seeing natural recruitment come off of those plants. So the game plan on this project is to go in and do something similar, get some more sagebrush seedlings. This time we're going to grow them in the plant protectors, should facilitate planting, make that a lot easier. And then I believe we wanted to put some seed on the ground as well and try to put some forewing in that area. Herbicide was for a little bit of cheatgrass. We do have some cheatgrass presence in that country. I think, so Hal Guyman, before he left us, he's the one that proposed this one. Looks like he included some ephedra plants as well. I think we would seed that forewing. I don't know if we need to do plants for the forewing. But looking to get some plants on the ground, should be a good project. Hoping to use both the new bumblebee planter as well as the tree planter that we've used in the past. We've seen success with that as well. As far as species go, mule deer winter range. Extremely important winter range in this area. I don't see a whole lot of benefit to other species. Sorry, Kobe. We can try to stretch it, but it's a deer project.
Yeah, it's fine. It is what it is. I'm fine with it being 100% big game when it is 100% big game.
Right.
And it clearly is. So,
yeah,
good project.
I don't know. I think I saw like a little puddle that fish could be in.
there is a stop water pond on the property.
We've been over this, there's no fish in the guzzlers.
I mean, if we want to go down the road of stretching, it is sage grouse area as well. So, but we haven't seen sage grouse out there in lots of years. So I have a hard time going down that road.
Yeah,
But
don't release your goldfish into the.
Yeah, no,
the
right.
tank.
Austin's a big game, man. Can he sell you, Austin? You have any questions?
No questions. I mean, it's expensive, but for a little piece of property, but I understand you gotta do it.
I'm kind of excited to say, like, these seed protectors. We're back in the day, like 100 years ago, I did some work on Black Hill where we didn't protect anything, and it was a complete failure except for where Danny Summers went out and put some cages around stuff. And so just seeing the difference is you never would have guessed that at the scale we were planning at that deer would have had that kind of impact on our project, but they did. So the only thing like that I'm questioning is, and it's not for this project, but like bigger system in the future, like I wonder if there's a way where we can make the protectors just give it a little bit bigger, that let that plant hit a little bit more critical mass, like figure out a way to do that. Not for this project, talk for another time. It's a good project. So
I'm sure there is, but it just increases the cost, right?
it's only money, Eric.
We're trying to get as far down the list as we can, but
More of it every day. Move to approve.
Are you
Okay.
using the prison to grow these out?
I'm hearing more ice.
we've had that conversation. Talking to GBRC, they suggested some of the other species, especially ephedra, going somewhere else besides the prison. I guess some of the other growers are now willing to match the prison's price.
Isn't the prison only charging us $1 a plant about per sage grouse?
I think with the plant protector it was $1.80. I think that's where that number comes from. But yes, they are getting it for us at cost of plant protector, the pot, the soil, and seed.
So what's your schedule for grow out and planting then? Are you gonna get this all done in 27?
We should be able to get a hold of the prison, get them growing, and then we can put them in next spring.
Did I hear a motion?
You did.
Okay, got a motion from Kobe.
I know these grow projects are expensive, but I see more and more success with them as we've developed better methods. And so it's hard to not be supportive.
A second.
All right. Any other questions?
I'm just disappointed with those lines on the map that nobody felt like doing crop circles.
Or drawing their name in there?
Yeah.
That's
I've always joked about putting my name on the landscape, but I haven't done it yet. So we'll see if we can sneak it in a project.
So did we look at the finance page yet?
The reason for those lines though was because everything looked dead and they didn't want to mow everything down because they didn't know if it would come back or not. So they did lines, mowing some of it down, but leaving it up in case it came back and was an ocean crop.
Gotcha.
That's why it's done.
So we could have done a couple circles here, TJ's hand there.
All right. So we have a motion from Kobe, a second from Angie. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Okay,
Perfect. Thank you.
7842 Monticello Ranger District, Watershed, Evan.
All right. This is a project that's been kind of a long time in the works with the Forest Service. They have some property down by Monticello that a long time ago was changed. It's those larger polygons up there. They're looking to, it's been infilling quite a bit. There's pictures that'll show you some of that. But it's a great sagebrush area that's being encroached by pinyon juniper. They're looking to seed it and bull hog it and get that understory growing in that brush in there for big game habitat. Also, they've partnered with Bears Ears Partnership, I think it's called, and doing a lot of water work throughout the Abajos and Elk Ridge area there. They have about 8 different projects. 2 of them are springs. I think are those dots on the map there. They're looking to protect those and preserve those so they don't get overused by livestock and stomped out. They're going to put some fencing in there and have water going to troughs in those areas. They also have a couple areas where they're going to do some stream restoration and enhancement by putting in BDAs and PALs to keep water on there and get some more vegetation growing for all sorts of wildlife. And also there's a couple wet meadows where they're going to be doing those Z-dike rock structures to reduce erosion and keep those beneficial wet meadows and the vegetation in them available for for everything. And that's the basic gist of it.
Okay, questions to the finance page?
Make sure some of their old troughs.
Don't see any goldfish.
Your designers thinking of putting it in. So there he is getting kind of ingrown.
How's this showing up in WRI?
Fifth highest ranked in the state.
Okay,
Fifth highest in the state.
Good project. I like it.
40 grand from us. It's a $1.1 million project.
I'll make the motion to approve it.
I'll second.
Okay, got a motion from Tyler and a second from Jeremiah. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, say no. All right. Okay,
Any
Eastern
project that
Sierra.
says watershed restoration in the title. I see that one.
Right.
I was giving away the cheat code.
This one has a very long title. I won't read all of it, but it's Aspen Generation Work in the South. It's a multi-year project. It hasn't been funded yet. This will be the first year. But it's high elevation Aspen regeneration. And also there was a big blowdown there that they've had some entomologists in there who were worried about the spread of spruce beetle and other insects getting out throughout the forest because of that blowdown, and they want to help clear out those trees to kind of reduce some of those impacts. They've been doing we've been working with Adam Robinson with the SITLA. Some of these photos kind of further down show some previous work we've done in the area doing basically the same thing, going in and cutting out decadent aspen stands. That's after kind of 1 year. You can already see a bunch of aspen in that understory coming back in. But going in and cutting out decadent aspen, thinning conifer and aspen stands, as well as treating that blowdown area, the kind of three main parts. In a lot of the aspen areas, they put a brush fence around there to keep out cattle and kind of reduce the herbivory on the regenerating plants in the area. It's a great high elevation aspen and conifer thinning project out there, as well as getting rid of that blowdown and trying to reduce the risk of insect infestation in the area. But it's a multi-year project because up there in previous phases, we kind of ran into some issues, but there's not a very long window for doing work up there. And he's been talking to some contractors who could potentially do the work, and without kind of a guarantee of a certain amount of work, they're not going to come out and do any of it. So he has it kind of planned out over a few years. There's also some money in there for reseeding roads they have to put in to harvest materials, as well as doing some tree replanting.
It's a big project. It's a $2+ million project, but it's multi-year.
It's multi-year.
This is an excellent project. This is, if you guys know Adam Robinson, he's probably one of the best foresters in the state. He does work for SITLA. He's doing the right thing. He's getting value out of the wood that he's taken out there that's lowering the cost of these projects. Yeah, this is one I definitely support.
Big high elevation,
Elevation.
protect it once the treatment's done, right?
But there are brush fences in that over later.
Sportsman's put over 200,000 in it.
Yeah, we should fund the project. We should just change it because there's some upper benefit to this. I'll have to give it time, give them 5%.
Okay.
I would say, I would like to see this project very well documented. Just the research and the progress, because I can think of a lot of areas high elevation that I would like to see this very similar project happen in other parts of the state.
Yeah, Austin, we do too. And I think we're actively working to do a lot of that as well. Just working through a lot of the roadblocks on those other projects, but this one is a textbook what we want to do and what we want to see. So
Our Tabby Mountain WMA is another good example where we've done a lot of this type of work as well.
So, all the NEPA was done and everything, or is this funding some of that too? Sorry, I didn't.
It's Sitla land.
Oh, it's all set.
Yeah.
So we're getting an art
Good to
clearance,
go.
then we're going to work.
Yep.
Yeah, that's just. Motion to approve.
Second. Okay, we have a motion from Kobe with an adjustment to the percentage,
Yeah.
right? And a second from Jeremiah.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Okay, what's the fastest? Cool, thanks, guys. Okay. We're gonna move on, man, we're trucking right along. We're gonna move on to, Northeast Region projects. Looks like they're joining us online. And we're gonna start with, Willow Watershed Habitat 7719. Tom, you up for that one?
Yep, sure am.
Okay.
So just to introduce myself, Tom Platero, impact analysis biologist here in the Northeast region. So this Willow Watershed Habitat Improvements fiscal year 27 project. It's a project that's been going on for a while. If we can go to, yeah, let's stay there at the map, and I can talk through. I'll talk through kind of the riparian, riverine kind of restoration that we've been doing, and then Tori, if you're on, he'll talk more about like the bull hog and stuff. So down there in the river, I think some key components to zero in on. The northern polygon is for a tamarisk removal section that we've been working on for a while. It's a pretty significant patch of tamarisk. We have a report from the UCC on it in the documents tab. If you guys are interested in taking a look at that, you can kind of see what we're dealing with down there. It's some really heavy stuff, like 20-foot tamarisk. And just because of the location, a hand crew is really the best way to deal with it. Once we get that all knocked out, we'll go back in and burn it with forestry fire and state lands. But that one's still, once it's cut down, then we'll coordinate that a bit more. Working our way south, we've got some previous BDA projects that have been implemented since 2021. We have about 90 structures there on Meadow and Willow. This area, we're mainly proposing maintenance of these structures, and then the larger polygon next on the field is a section of mowing that we're proposing just to keep it, keep forage available for big game. This is primarily a transitional range for big game, we find, but still pretty valuable. And we believe that with the complementary work from the BDAs and the riparian improvements, that we're making some pretty good difference for them. This low-tech process-based restoration, it's a pretty high interest to our partners. We've been working hand in hand with Trout Unlimited and the Division of Water Quality. Braxton Newkirk with Trout Unlimited, he's been really critical in working through these low-tech projects. We got funding for a 10-year watershed plan that we're hoping to implement over time. And then we're also applying for a non-point source grant, or Trout Unlimited is, for some additional BDAs moving south from the section that we already have BDAs on Willow Creek. So depending on how that goes, we could see some more improvements taking place there. So just continuing in that kind of lower within the valley, we've got some more harrow and seeding projects, coordinating with Sitla on that one. We've expanded the footprint of that by a little bit, working east and then on Meadow Creek. So yeah, you can just those 4 little polygons that we're planning on. So we've seen pretty good success with these, just doing a harrow instead of doing a mow in these sections. just trying to knock it back a little bit. We oftentimes see mule deer come in pretty quick after these treatments. So yeah, that's the basics there. Tori, do you want to take a swing at the bullhog stuff?
Yeah, so there's a number of polygons there along Winter Ridge that we're continuing to do some pinyon juniper removal. We've done a number of phases along those points to the south of the Winter Ridge Road over the last couple of years. This is just continuing that effort. So it would be a seeding and then mulching pinyon and juniper trees. All of those polygons, you've seen a lot of those. This is important bison habitat area. We do have a couple of mule deer collars, some does that are summering in those polygons recently. Elk also use these areas as well. And then that black polygon that you see there, this would just be an archaeology survey so that we can do a harrow treatment in the future. This was one that Danny Summers suggested to me a couple of years ago. It might be a good place to do. It is solidly within the mule deer summer range that we have. We've got deer that summer both to the north and to the south of that, but not much happens right there for a number of reasons. We want to try to harrow that and seed additional things that hopefully can pull some deer into that and spread out their summer range, improve things a little bit there. So yeah, this is photos of the range trend has a study site there on Willow Flats. This is where that harrow will be located. This is all where the harrow would be. It's mostly sagebrush. This is kind of the area where the bullhog would take place, the bullhog and seeding off the Winter Ridge. I think that one right there may have, if you look closely, there may be a shed deer antler in one of these that I saw and left there. So I don't remember which photo it was, but one of my
That's Pat's shed hunting spot.
Actually, I don't know. Right?
So those are all part of the bullhog area and seeding. You can see some of the summer shrubs, the bitterbrush and serviceberry that's mixed in there, but a lot of it doesn't have much understory. So yeah, it's back to the harrow.
Yeah, and then just while we're there on the images and documents, if you want to scroll down, and then we can take a look just at some of the BDAs that were previously installed, as well as the harrow that's going to be taking place down on the Sitla properties. So I feel like they're good to take a look at. So that picture in particular, that first one, that was actually a BDA that was installed, and then just downstream or just upstream, beaver came in, and we've actually been seeing some beaver taking over the maintenance of some of these structures. So we're pretty optimistic about that. This area, it responds really quickly to these BDAs and PALs. So we see a lot. I mean, this is since 2021. So you can see how much impact they do have in the system. They get a lot of, I mean, just the amount of change that takes place is pretty impressive. Yeah. So a lot of this is just focused on increasing the sinuosity. A lot of these, like Willow Creek and Meadow Creek, they've more or less been pushed off to one side so that ag can take place. That's a harrow down there. That's kind of the sagebrush size that we're dealing with. Yeah. That's a completed harrow down there as well. That one right there. You can see the skid in the background. Yeah, that's what I've got. If you want to take a look at the finance, and then be happy to answer any questions.
Sportsman groups for about 227,000 on this one.
Yeah, so it's a $900,000 project, 50 from Habitat Council, and what's the ranking in WRI then?
16th in the state. So it is possible to do a WMA project and rank high through WRI.
It's
I have a dumb question. Why, so Trout Unlimited is putting in 1,800 in kind, but we have to pay the other part of their employees' budget? Or costs? Personnel? It says, I mean, it's not a big chunk. It's more curiosity than anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of a deal we made with Trout Unlimited. They're not fully funded. They help us out with project implementation and oversight. And so we allow them to ask for some of their permanent staff's salary every year.
Good question.
And then,
Any other-
oh, sorry, just really quickly there on the finance, a previous iteration of this project, we planned on implementing a pesticide for grasshoppers, just because if you've been down there, there's a lot of grasshoppers. Some of that we changed just through input from partners as well as our sensitive species biologist. We're trying to implement some bird boxes down there, trying to get some more moved in just to help reduce grasshopper numbers. So you will see on there that $2,500 that we're asking instead of going. I think we previously had $800 for grasshopper bait. So anyway, relatively small change, but just wanted to bring that up since I hadn't before.
So are you doing both then? Just make sure
So we're not doing grasshopper bait anymore. Just due to the risk to aquatic invertebrates, as well as Brian Maxfield brought up the point about just bioaccumulation among species down there. He was a little concerned about that. And so we believe that going a more, I guess, holistic approach, trying to get birds to have more habitat down there and hopefully reduce that grasshopper population is the route that we decided to go instead of going for a strict pesticide that could have larger impacts than we would like.
Any other questions for these guys on this one?
This is one we've already funded the cultural resource clearance for the bull hog. So need to get this one done. Yeah. I'll make a motion to approve it.
I'll second.
Okay.
Discussion on the motion really quickly. I'd like to keep an eye on the grasshopper stuff. If this idea works, I'm for it. If not, I want to reevaluate it because I've seen whole plantings fail, like depending upon the densities. And so
There's a lot of grasshoppers.
we should at least have the discussion. I don't know that bird boxes is going to accomplish what we want it to accomplish. And so it's a lot of money. That's for a lot of money. And I understand that there are negative impacts. We do it the other way, but I don't know how to monitor it because after you get adult grasshoppers, good luck doing something about it.
Well, we can fund where we're at and have that discussion and, adaptively manage if we need to.
Yeah, and I guess that's all I'd ask for.
Okay. So we had a motion from Tyler. And who seconded that one? Drew. We're good to have more of a discussion about insect control.
I mean, it sounds like maybe you ought to get with Brian and kind of dig into his concern. I think redirected it.
No, I understand that. Like I understand that. And sometimes temporary use of pesticide is worth it in the long run. And I understand bioaccumulation, like I understand the risks and concerns.
So we can have that discussion at
Yeah.
some point. So got a motion, I've got a second. Move ahead with voting on this. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Okay, motion passes.
Thank you,
Okay,
everybody.
Yep, we're moving on to the Burnt Beaver project 7781. Who's up for that one?
That'd be me.
We got
Sorry,
here
we're a
first.
little late. For those who,
Introduce yourself
Yeah.
and then,
for those who don't know me, I'm Caleb Browning. I'm our wildlife biologist for the UWC on the Evanston Mountain View Ranger District. So our Burnt Beaver project, this is I think the 8th year of this project now. The project kind of started as a focus for bighorn sheep and other big game species for habitat improvement, as well as creating some fuel breaks to make it possible to get some prescribed burns in place out there. As the project has moved on, we've now partnered with the Ashley National Forest. So this project is split across both forests now. So the project is within designated seasonal habitat for both mule deer, elk, or for all of mule deer, elk, moose, and black bear. If we can go to the document, we can look at some of the bighorn sheep migration, which aren't perfect. Those maps are a little off, but we're working to have some future phases that are going to be a little more targeted for those. So this is the migration route, as well as the heat map for some of the collared animals that are still there. And then if we can look at the mule deer map as well. So the mule deer map, this phase of the project, it's right in those habitat areas that we want it to be in. So the work that's going to happen on the Ashley, we're looking at doing 270 acres of lop and scatter treatment just in areas that are we're seeing densities where it's the conifers are out competing any understory forage. We're wanting to open that up and get some growth and get some groceries for big game. We're also looking. Oh, sorry, that was lop and scatter for the UWC. My bad. And then we're also looking at 200 acres of slash line treatment. And those treatments are kind of coming about as we've progressed through this. We're realizing that our X window is really small. And what we're hoping by doing these slash lines is that we'll increase that window. We'll be able to generate some heat and be able to get some burning accomplished out there. So the Ashley is doing 160 acres of lop and scatter that they are not planning to burn. It is a little less dense, and they're just looking for some timber stand improvement, but still wanting to open it up and get some undergrowth going again. Then they're also looking at 414 acres of mastication and mechanical treatment, primarily along roadways, but that's the same general purpose, timber stand improvement, to kind of open things up and create some areas for wildlife use. In our other projects that we've got going out there, it's kind of a rare occasion to go out there and not see either elk or deer in those. Moose are also a really frequent user of the other projects that we've got going.
We'll take a look at the finance part. Yeah, Allison and Naomi, tell us where we're at with rankings of other WRI or
Number 8
groups.
in the state for WRI. Number 260.
Programs put 260,000 on this one.
This is one of Mule Foundation's flagship projects.
And we've been working on this one for years, and it does a lot of great work. So
There's some good stuff.
Yeah. Any more discussion? Are you looking for a motion?
yeah, we're looking at 20 grand from this council, and
Motion to approve.
okay,
Second.
got a motion in a second from Tyler. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. All right, motion passes.
Thank you. Drew gave me his vote.
Okay. He'll be back. Or Craig will be here in a minute to fill in for him. So, all right. Next one. We're going to do one more, then we're going to take a break. So, Book Cliffs, Mule Deer Habitat Improvements, 7839. And
Yeah, I've got that one. I'm Tori Mathis, the habitat restoration biologist in the Northeastern Region. So I'll talk about part of this, and then Pat can jump on and talk about a couple of other parts in this project. And this one has had a little bit of a change since our conservation permit funding meeting. If you start on that, well, select the one that's year 2, the bullhog treatment. We're going to ignore those other black blobs there. The original plan was to do archaeology surveys on all 3 of those large areas so that we could do treatments for the future. Due to funding concerns, we thought we could cut it down and just do this one for now, and the other 2 will come back and present later. The idea, though, is well, we need to get archaeology surveys done so that we can do the treatment. The treatment is planned for the next fiscal year. But when you go out and look at if you go to the photos, actually, we can see this. The drought has been kind of hard on the Book Cliffs the last couple of years. And when you go out there and look at all of our shrubs, our bitterbrush and our mountain mahogany are pretty hedged. They're hammered. And you can see those gamble oak there on that last photo. They've been browsed up to about as high as the deer can reach, and the bitterbrush and the serviceberry has been browsed down as low as they can get it. It seems like the deer are switching from forbs to shrubs really early in the summer because there's just not a lot of growth. You can see a shrub right there in the front center of that one that's just as hedged as can possibly be. And so as we've been looking at this, we've tried to figure out what could we possibly do with this to try to get some new growth. And we drove down the road a little ways, or down the divide to a fuel break that the BLM had done a few years ago, where they had just mowed the shrubs along the side of the road, and they were fantastic. There was a lot of new growth. They looked great. And so we thought maybe we could, right now, some of these pictures are in those other polygons that we're not going to look at this year. So the idea was that we would take that area using a bullhog, kind of mow down some of those patches of shrubs and see if we can get some regeneration, some new growth. We've talked to Eric Thacker at USU about doing a study looking at the nutrition of different shrubs during different growth stages, and that could be part of this work as well. So that would take place in the next year. This year, it's just doing an archaeology survey so that we can get that cleared and move ahead. The other parts of this you saw in the pictures, there's a fence retrofit along a spring and a guzzler rebuild. Pat, if you want to hop on and talk about those.
Sure. I'm Pat Rainbold, Habitat Program Manager for the Northeast Region. Yeah, so that's what's there now. There's an existing spring water source in the bottom of South Canyon, one of the few springs out in the Book Cliffs available for wildlife use. It's excluded from livestock with the fencing. So that's what we want it to look like afterwards. If we can go back to the previous picture, that's what it looks like now. And last spring when we went there were a couple fawns hung up in that mesh wire. So not wildlife friendly for the fawns. And that's certainly not what we want to see in the Book Cliffs, is some additional mortality on those mule deer fawns out there. So we went out with the BLM last year, removed a lot of that net wire fencing. Fortunately, there's no cattle out there right now, and haven't been for the last couple of years with the change in ownership. So we have a nice window right now where we can do that. So we've made it wildlife friendly, but it's not going to be cattle friendly when the cows come back. So we can go to the next picture. This is what we want it to look like. We just need to add in those second and third rungs of sucker rod. I actually have those on stock at the game farm. They've been donated by dedicated hunters. There's enough to cover this project. So this portion of the project is just to fund a contractor to come in and weld those rods onto the existing posts and top rail and make it wildlife friendly while excluding the cattle from that water source. And then the other water feature is it's one of the last mega guzzlers out in the Book Cliffs. It's these old butyl type apron guzzlers that are fenced, and the butyl degrades over time, get a lot of holes and punctures in it, and not a lot of maintenance going on those old BLM guzzlers. So we've had some really good success in the Book Cliffs with this design. It's 3 boss tanks wide, and we have about a 80 or 100 foot long apron on that. It's pretty close to matching what those butyl aprons could capture. It does eliminate a lot of the maintenance needs with the fencing, the entanglement issues, and the maintenance and troubles you have with the butyl there. So this is a better design, just kind of expanding on our big game guzzler design. I think this is the 4th one we've done out in the Book Cliffs. And we've almost replaced all those out there. So pretty cool to see long-term investment for a reliable water source out in the Book Cliffs. And that's the water portion of this project. That's a picture of the spring we'll be protecting.
Is there not seed needed on the bullhog on this one?
I thought I had included seed on this one.
No.
Did I overlook that?
You did.
That's not good.
So here's my thoughts on this one. We kind of pitched this. This is a medium rank project through WRI, so it doesn't have a lot of opportunity for WRI funding. We pitched this to the sportsmen's groups to have them fund the guzzlers and the fence. And it kind of looks like they overfunded that portion of it.
No, they did the 110, which was, they funded it is the fencing. I was gonna say that funded the art clearance.
So, and I don't, the art clearance is.
That's where I forgot the seed, Tyler, is this was originally just proposed as art clearance and you wanted the second phase.
Yeah.
But no, this is, never mind. I'm thinking of the wrong one. This would not include any seeding. This was the bullhog on, it would be just mowing down the shrubs.
You're just looking for a response.
We're just looking for a response on those shrubs. So no, there wasn't any seed. I sometimes get my projects mixed up. I apologize for that. So no, there wasn't any seed on this one.
So I think my preference on this one is to let the sportsmen's groups fund the guzzlers and the fence.
But it says in the notes that it's for the culture on the east side.
Yeah, so we had put, so Sportsman's did the 110 guzzler fence cultural on east side, but we still needed that much to finish the cultural. We've got contractor for the fence is 20. Archaeology is 110. Guzzler is that's another 60. So that's,
And we did talk about at the conservation permit meeting that if we just did the cultural on that eastern polygon and did not on those other two, that it would be about, if I don't remember the number that I've calculated there, about 33,000 is what I was looking at. So if I took off the archaeology surveys for those other two polygons, that would reduce that need quite a lot. If you guys are willing to fund it, I'd be more than happy to run with those, because I could have those ready to go for treatment probably next year as well. There's some issues we wanted to talk about with SITLA and with the grazing permittee to figure out what those treatments are going to to look like that we hadn't ironed out yet. So
I guess my issue is we would only fund the cultural, we would not fund the implementation. I'm trying to get away from that because
You don't like that as a phase because you don't have any guarantee it'll get done.
we get these orphan
That's the
cultural.
conversation we have.
So, yeah, so my preference is let's fund the Guzzlers, the fence, let's have him bring it back as a cultural year one. And then 2 follow-up years of implementation.
Well, he's got cultural as year 1 and implementation is year 2 on this.
Yeah, but we can't guarantee the year 2 implementation because it's a
Oh, it's
medium range
medium.
project.
Sorry. Yep.
So let me understand this better. You'd rather see it be a higher dollar value and do cultural and implementation the
No.
same year?
I'd rather see him come back next year, get another chance at WRI, hopefully get a higher ranked, so that we can then fund it as a multi-year project, bring it back to the sportsman's group for year 1 cultural on the whole bullhog area, and then maybe split the bullhog implementation into year 2 and year 3.
I gotta be honest, I'm kind of excited about the project when I look at what they're trying to do.
Yeah, I am too.
It's something that I don't know, we've tried a lot. And then do you have any photos of the fuel break strips they did that are coming back? Talk about them, Tori, but
I don't think I have any on that project, but if let me see if I can find it real quick.
it's all right.
It's
I
not
get
there. I believe there are some on the other project that they had done. It was some fuel breaks along Tom Patterson, but I don't know what number it was and how to get to it right away.
That's okay. I think that conceptually, like, this is kind of an exciting project. I guess if I were to ask for anything, it would be like, it probably doesn't need it, but maybe just even throw some forb seed in there if you're gonna bullhog it at the same time. See how it goes, but I don't know.
I mean,
So-
an alternative would be.
We're not doing this till 2028 if we do that.
Yeah.
way, though.
Well, we weren't doing it till 2028 anyways. This would actually push it to 2029 implementation.
2029.
29 and 30 if we split the bullhog into 2 phases. An alternative is if you came in and said, we will guarantee funding for year 2 implementation with ICP.
And that would be, you'd need me to make up that 220,000 basically.
More than that, because we're only doing cultural on half of it.
It also probably likely go to ECP again though, as well, for the next phase.
So 220 plus whatever is left of the cultural.
Oh.
100 grand.
I think between ECP and ICP, we get it.
That's great. I mean, that,
110 on it right now, right?
yeah,
ECP.
because it's medium, I can't make that.
We're gonna re-rank it next year to make it
No,
high.
it won't get re-ranked. That's the point.
It won't get re-ranked.
That's what my proposal is to have him come back, take another swing at WRI to get a higher rank. Or you guarantee year 2 funding. You do, because you can't say that the sportsmen are gonna give any money. They probably will.
We can work with them.
I was gonna say, if you push it out to the groups,
And
I'm
hope,
pretty sure they will.
I think so too. I need this help on some other projects too, like Hungry Creek down in the Boulders. Or because it's medium, I can't guarantee it year 2 because it's too low ranked through WRI. But if you help out, then we can push it through as a multi-year.
We'll have that discussion, but on this one, Colby, you think we can get there and guarantee year 2?
Or are you just pretty sure? No, you never, I can't, because we,
Yeah.
there's always a guarantee there, but
I think if we're telling our partners that this is really a high priority, we need some help on this, everybody's gonna chip in. And they've already shown support.
I think if they know it's not gonna get funded any other way, that's how we do it.
Agree.
And if we do it that way, I would push you to fund the full cultural this year. So we do the whole thing at once. And
How much
then
extra is that?
if Habitat Council kicks in the full 81 plus the 110 from sportsmen's groups, what was the cultural?
Where's the cultural at? Just go up.
Shows
About 110.
110.
But then the.
It's only-
the
That's
fence
on
on
the
it.
east side.
Oh, Tori, did you update your budget at all, or is this? still
I did
the-
not. That would be the cultural for all of those polygons, but what it does not have is the treatment for the other two polygons that were going to be proposed in the future. And I didn't include those because I don't have the prescriptions ready for those yet, and may not for a little while.
Okay, so the 80 plus 110, that funds all of the fiscal 27 ask.
Yes.
Let's just do it.
Okay. So what, we did have one additional question on the guzzler side of things. Have you guys considered using metal hardware instead of lumber on the structure on that at all?
That's a great question, Eric. We actually did our first full metal apron last week here in the region on the normal size big game guzzlers, and just looking at the finances on that and the work involved and different things, and I can see us transitioning over to that because it definitely extends the life. They're pretty long lived anyway, but for this one, I think we could explore that option, and but we're still kind of working through doing that in our region and learning how to do those and make them worth the money and the longevity. But we're definitely trending in that direction, and would be willing. I think we're looking at one we already have funded from last year, one of the mega guzzlers to do the full metal apron on. We're still working through some of the complications. Once you get that large, it becomes a little complicated and difficult to get things square, and you don't have the tolerances like you have with wood construction. But we are trending that direction, and that's certainly something we could do with this guzzler.
Yeah, if you just look into that, but I don't know.
It's cost prohibitive. It's cost prohibitive.
Yeah, I'm not going to push you either way. You guys make the judgment call and just consider it. So for the reasons you identified. So
So just to reiterate, if Habitat Council funds the 81,000, then we have the cultural done, and next year we're ready to go to work. We're just gonna need to come up with more money. Okay.
Okay, Pat and Tori, you guys are okay with that funding scenario?
Yeah.
So, all right. Any other questions on this?
I mean, the only other question I've got is it's still going to need 2 more phases of implementation.
Well, I think I can probably get those others in one more phase of implementation, and those would be, I'm anticipating I would propose those next year. I got to find some kind of water, aquatic riparian, something to pair it with so that it can rank out. I maybe our Willow Watershed project will work out on that. I didn't include it all as one project this year just because I thought we'd get over our $1 million limit that way. But I'll have to look into that. But I was planning to probably propose both of those other 2 polygons for implementation next year rather than one after the other.
Okay. Thanks, Tori. All right. Do we have a motion and a motion on the amended project on this one as far as funding goes?
Okay, I'm going to still screw this up because I still don't like the fact that we're going to have an orphaned portion of that has cultural and not funded the implementation. So what I'm thinking is maybe we split the cultural up and just do the side, which is the phase 1 full hog, right, Tori?
Yeah, that would be right.
So that would reduce the Habitat Council ask. I still don't like we're trying to do away with having orphan cultural.
So you want to make sure they've got everything worked out with SITLA and the permittee.
You know, I'm just saying I don't want to do cultural because he's only got 551 acres of implementation in this project, which you're saying you'll fund, but it still has another.
There's another 1,000 acres or so.
1,200, 1,300 acres.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
I'm with that.
I'm good with that too.
Is that in the form of an amended motion?
Yeah, so that's an amended motion, only to fund the cultural that will be included in the implementation in 28.
Okay, so got a motion from Tyler.
Yeah.
A second.
Second.
Second from Kobe. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no.
That will reduce your.
Okay,
And
all right.
you'll get us an updated budget so we know what that looks like by the final meeting.
Yeah, and so for notes, if you have questions about whoever, Allison, between Allison and Lisa, you guys got it covered. So where we landed on,
Yeah, I guess the
Logistics for the
biggest thing is, Corey, do you understand what the proposal is, so you can update the budget?
Yeah, I believe I do.
Okay.
okay, all right. Okay, we're gonna take a break here for a few minutes before we do, 2 more projects for the Northeast region, for 10 minutes, and then we're gonna jump back. So 10-minute break.
1.
All right, thanks, Carmen. Okay, we're jumping back in. We're gonna finish up our Northeast Region projects here. With 7840 Rabbit Gulch WMA. And Tori, you up for that one?
Yeah, I've got it.
Okay, go ahead.
So this is on our Rabbit Gulch WMA. It's most of the WMA. You can see if you make that transparent, you can see all of the pinyon juniper removal that has taken place over the years. And this WMA is, I am told by our local biologists that during heavy winters, there are more deer per square mile on this WMA than any spot in the state. It's critically important for deer during heavy winters. On the winters, like we've had the last couple of years, there may not be a single deer on there. But we have done a number of projects over the years to improve winter range for deer. One of the issues we've been dealing with is cheatgrass. But in the last year or two, as I've gone out and looked at it, we kind of seem to be, hate to curse, or give us bad luck on this, but it kind of seems like we might be winning the war against cheatgrass out there. And so I think it's the right time to try a new tool. In the past, we've used plateau herbicide. You guys are probably familiar with that. You've seen that on a number of different projects. It controls cheatgrass germination for a period of maybe a couple of years. But we've got another herbicide available called Rejuvra that can control germination on cheatgrass for a period of 5 years or more. The problem is it controls germination of everything for that time period, so you can't use it if you need to seed anything at all. So it's best used in places where there is cheatgrass present, but it is not so dominant that there aren't other native perennials there. And I think that's the point we are in on Rabbit Gulch. There's a lot of needle and thread, a lot of Indian rice grass, other good grasses. There are some native forbs like globe mallows, although those are hard to come by. Native forbs are hard to come by anywhere. But I think it's the right time to try using this Rejuvra herbicide to give us some longer-term control of cheatgrass, keep this weed-free, and allow our natives to continue to grow and expand. And so I recognize that, I knew going into this wasn't going to rank well in WRI. It's a standalone project on one spot. It's doing one thing. There are no other treatments anywhere nearby that could be combined with it, and it's all on basically one property owner. And it didn't rank very well on WRI. I knew it was a bit of a risk. I don't know how well you guys will receive it either, but I believe it's the right thing to do, and I think now is the right time to try it. We do have range trend study sites in the project area that can help monitor the results of this Rejuvra herbicide, give us additional data that could be used for justifying treatments in other areas as well. The herbicide itself is a little bit more expensive than plateau, as I understand, but I think it's the right thing to do, and I think it's the right time to do it.
So Tori, I think to that point, so Rejuvra is not new to us. Our Great Basin Research Center has been researching its use for quite a while now. And
right. We don't have many projects on the landscape that have used it, and none in the Northeastern region yet.
Yeah, and so we're in a position where we know how to use it from our own research side, and our GVRC will be involved. And this is an area that like Tori said, it looks like it is the right moment, and with its current cover of cheatgrass to utilize it. There's remnants of other good vegetation there that is established that will withstand the Rejuvra, we hope. And so I don't know. I support this project.
Tori, how much of that $80 an acre is the herbicide versus the application?
I think I've got it at $60 an acre rather than 80. And I don't know. Those are the numbers that I have been given from others that have done it. And usually when I write the contracts on these kinds of things, I just have the contractor supply the chemical as well as do the application. So it's all one cost and I don't see it split up anyway.
Has anybody in the room done drone-based Rejuvra? Is that about what we're paying at 60?
Okay, any other thoughts on this one? Yeah, this is just us.
Got a good enough understory, Tori, you think it'll respond, excited about it?
Yeah, I think there's good native grasses, needle and thread and Indian rice grass. I think our biggest problem right now is the lack of sagebrush. And, you know, one thing I've hesitated a bit with is, you know, this could prevent sagebrush seed from germinating as well. But we may be at the point where we need to do sagebrush plantings, you know, bare root or rootstock, like some of the other regions have been doing. You know, Central Region and Southern Region kind of have that down. I think we could do that here, and I think we could plant rootstock into this without having it damaged, because I think we'd get it down below where the herbicide is acting. And I think it would be fine. So I do believe it's going to respond well, yes.
How many years control are folks seeing on this?
It'll give us about 5 years of control of cheatgrass.
So 5 to 7?
It depends on how much rain and moisture you get.
Sure.
It might be 12 here with how much rain we've been getting. So
I mean, I you know, you say it hasn't been used lately, but yet 22, 23, I was out there and Rabbit Gulch was freaking full of deer, just packed full. So I get it. This is one that probably a good one to look at doing. Like, I'm supportive of. I can see that it's expensive. I can see that we're asking for a lot through Habitat Council, but it's these types of projects are going to get funded other ways,
and this one did not get any money from the groups, and that, you know, it just didn't get cherry picked.
Dude, herbicide's not super sexy.
Yeah,
like it just is, right? But it's a good project. Like,
no, I love the
big difference, and I think we've done enough experimentation to feel comfortable enough going into it that we're pretty sure what
yeah, it's not our first test plot, right?
Right.
It's still a little bit of an unknown, but it's not our first test plot.
well, and I've been talking to some BLM folks in Wyoming, and they're using it everywhere up there and having good results with it. So I expect we'll be happy with it.
Are we ready for motion, Eric?
I think so.
Move to approve.
Second.
I got a motion from Kobe, second from Jeremiah. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Okay, motion passes. All right, good job. Okay, last one from Northeast Region, Book Cliffs Range Trend Exposure. Go ahead.
Okay, you've heard a lot about range trend data being used to justify a lot of our projects, and this is where the data comes from. So we have 3 exclosures in the Book Cliffs. You see they're kind of 2 parts. One is cattle only, and the other excludes wildlife and cattle. Our range trend crew visits each region every 5 years. Last year they were in the Northeast Region, and Jason Cox, the team leader there, brought this to our attention, just the state of disrepair these 3 exposures were in. They're critical in monitoring the summer range out there. A lot of the projects Tori was talking about in his Book Cliffs proposal, a lot of those, the data we use for that comes off of these exclosures. And you can see the difference in there in the vegetation use in those exclosures. I'm going to go to the pictures real quick. I'll just show you what they look like right now. Jason was concerned about just the longevity. The range trend program, they use data that goes back to the 80s, and it's a great resource we have here in the state to justify our projects. But this is what the exclosures look like. They're really slacking in the maintenance. That little section looks okay. You can see where something tried to belly over the top. This one has kind of been pounded and pressed on a lot. We have, in addition to livestock in the Book Cliffs, we also have wild horses. So we get a lot of pressure. from a lot of animals on these exclosures. You can see, yeah, some of those are down on the ground, so they're not really serving their function. This data is critical for us to use in all of our projects and throughout the state as well. But this project is a rebuild of these 3 exclosures and building them in a way that will last with quality materials, beefy materials. I received funding for one of the 3 during the external conservation permit funding. So 60,000 of the 180 was funded through ECP. And yeah, looking for another 120 to do the other 2 and get these up and running, and hopefully they'll collect some good quality data over the next 5 years. And the next time range trend comes through the Northeast region, we'll have these exclosures rebuilt that have been there for a while and collecting good quality data that we can use to justify these projects.
All right.
Pat, just to be clear, we can't use dedicated hunters or anything for this type of project.
We could. It's a lot of effort. These things are kind of big. It's more than just a fence, you know, and even on the fence, I have to babysit those guys a lot. It would be almost worthwhile for us to do it in-house and more cost effective and time effective if we did it that way.
Okay.
There is certainly a possibility to get some materials donated through the dedicated hunter program, though. I could pursue that.
So you sort of talked about the range trend research. I mean, what are you seeing maybe as some of the outcomes of this long term, and how this, you know, what do you expect to show you, I guess, in a little more detail?
For the Book Cliffs, you know, we have that narrow band of summer range, and it really gets hit hard in the summer. Like Tori was talking about, the vegetation those animals use usually later in the summer. They're starting to utilize a little bit earlier in the summer now, and just really hedging it back and impacting the growth and the productivity. These really help document that and push a lot of our projects forward and give us the scientific justification to be able to do things like Tori was talking about, the bullhog on the shrubs. And a lot of this, the data we get from these can show that and show us the responses in different types of herbivory that those ranges receive, and really help guide our projects. So I think they're critical. It's not, you know, like Kobe said, it's not a sexy project. It's not an herbicide project, but it kind of is. It's just not, but it is critical. It's important. I can't overstate that enough. Our range trend program it's the best in North America, maybe the world. It's a great set of data, and we just want to continue that. Make sure these are built and well built and will last for a lot of generations to come.
I might have missed that, Pat, but how many of these exist out on the Book Cliffs?
There's 3 out on the
Only
Book
these
Cliffs
3.
here.
Okay.
Yep.
There's no additional ones that are okay.
No, there's some in other parts of the region, and I think maybe lower down in the Winter Range, there's some that the BLM use for some of their surveys, but for WRI, Tori, you want to chime in on
There
that?
is a 4th one on McCook Ridge that I believe is in better shape that doesn't need to be rebuilt. So.
We're looking to rebuild 3 of them.
I like that the sportsman's groups funded one of them. I think that's a good start. I say we let the sportsman's groups pay for the one, and we table the other 2 to come back next year. So with that, I'll make a motion to table this.
Do we have any other questions that need to speak with that motion? Thoughts? I don't know. It is important for us to do some monitoring, and so I think I can go either way on this. But you know, our range trend program does a great job of monitoring. We have to have some sort of control points out in the range somewhere. But any other thoughts? We have a motion, so.
Second Tyler's motion.
All right. Got a motion from Tyler, a second from Angie. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Say no. Okay, so the amended project is fund or
I just tabled it.
yeah, basically tables the rest of the, it funds the ones with sports group money, and we'll see where it can go next year.
Yeah, is that part of it? Because this can go in front of WRA, so Habitat Council has to approve the ECP funds.
And I'll make that a part of the motion.
Okay,
I'll amend the motion to approve the ECP funds, but table the project for Habitat.
and do you still second that? Okay, all in favor, say aye to amend the motion.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Okay. Toby doesn't realize that he just funded the rest of those, but. So we just amended the motion so that we were spending the ECP money on the one. So we basically committed, so, okay. All right, okay, we're gonna jump into Southern Region projects. Thanks, Northeast Region, for jumping on for those. We're gonna start with Thousand Lakes Habitat Improvement Phase 4. Jim, you're up.
Thank you. I'm Jim Lamb. I do habitat restoration in Willow, Boulder Mountain, Thousand Lakes. And
The legend Jim Lamb.
I don't know about that.
I do.
Legend of Jason.
So we've been doing some pretty good work. If you'll jump into the pictures, there's a couple of pictures here that are right across the road from where we'd like to do this project that show the response that we can get. You can see kind of what it looks like down in there. There's a lot of trees of darkness that we'd like to change. We've done a couple of phases over on there, and we get anything that we treat gets a lot of use by deer and elk especially. One of the things that's been really cool about these projects that are done, it holds elk on the forest longer and keeps them from going into capital reef either early as they have gone before or in as great a numbers as they've gone before. We've had as many as probably 2,000 elk in the park on some winters. Now you can see that underneath these trees, we've got a pretty good brush understory. When Allison gets to the pictures where it shows the stuff from last year or from previous years, we've been there for 3 years. The mountain brush really explodes in there. So we've got bitter brush, four-wing, shad scale, serviceberry, elderberry. So there's quite a diverse range of brush there. And we just like to climb on top of this and do another couple thousand acres there. We've got NRCS with the permittee is going to work with us and provide some funding there. Those applications are in process. We don't know what the outcome of those are yet. We did get some funding from the Sportsman's Group, something that was really interesting. Just a few weeks ago while we were down in there kind of walking transects and taking some pictures, we found a couple of ponds and we started walking these drainages and we found 20 so far, and I think there's more. And so before I went to ECP, I threw a couple of those ponds in here. We'd like to see if we could repair and get those ponds functioning again, just a few of them, see how they respond before we include all of them that are there that we may find. And I don't know how many we're going to find in total. The other day when I was down working on a couple of the ones that trying to determine what we needed to actually do with those ponds to get them serviceable, I walked up over the ridge and there was another drainage with more ponds in it. So I don't know how many we're going to find eventually, but we thought for about $3,300 we could do 5 of those ponds, and so I threw that in this proposal too. And water in there next to what we've already treated and in conjunction with what we're planning on treating. So this is a 2-year project where we're gonna try and do the ARC this year so that we can do the mastication and the flock scatter next year.
Deep is done, just need to do the arc. You're ready to go.
Should have thrown those ponds in before you went to WRI. It might have helped you out.
We didn't even know they were there, so. They threw them in as soon as I found them, Tyler.
How did it rank in WRI, Tyler?
It's it's hanging on to the very edge of funding. It's still a high ranked project.
We're holding on to it both.
It's iffy. But the sportsmen did support it, and
There's a bunch of NRCS money on here.
I do like that there's a chunk of NRCS.
Yeah, that's nice.
Is that still pending or is that approved now?
I think it's pending. They approved. So there's a project just north of this that was approved. And it's the same outfit that wants to do this on this allotment. So if he was still here, I'd ask him.
Yeah. NRCS money on public land is
One of my favorite things.
yeah, that's
The only thing better, it's
that's a
civil.
big chunk. Yeah. 428 grams-ish. Yeah.
So again, this year's just arc clearance. You gotta get that done. After you get that done, then we'll implement.
Except for the ponds, the ARC ponds are the ponds are maintenance, so we can go to work on those as soon as we have.
You're gonna go try
I've
to.
got the equipment committed already, I just need the money for the pipe.
Okay.
So $1.4 million project. They're asking 55 from us here.
Yep.
So
Any more discussion? Are you ready for motion?
sportsman's group.
With the sportsman's funds, all it needs is that 55 to finish the funding and finish.
That's all I need is 55 to finish for this year.
Yep.
Well, it's fun to,
And then it needs like $1 million next year.
and you're gonna fund it. So moved.
Okay, I have a motion from Kobe. Have a second. Second from Angie. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Okay. Next project, 7366, 5 Mile Pasture Wildlife Habitat Improvement.
Got it. Gary Basin, the Habitat Program Manager down in the Southern Region. This project is best highlighted using the map, talk through some components. It's a 2-year project. It was already, the first year has already been funded. So we've been working through and already implementing quite a bit of this. If you start from the left side of the screen, who's running it? Okay. So they've done some stream work, stream restoration, some fencing going on along the stream there. It's a private landowner right at the turnoff. Should set the stage. This is on the Penguich Lake unit. This is on the road between Penguich and Penguich Lake. So if you zoom in, we've done the lop and scatter, which is the next thing there to the next bigger polygon. Yeah, nope, the next one, that one. So this is all the stuff that we've completed already in this first year. So this is a 2-year funded project. I don't know if Tyler's already explained that process to this group, but we're just looking for the funding for year 2, which is the last of the stuff, which is the mastication. So we have already done, or we're in the process of doing the archaeology for the mastication on this. The coolest thing about this project, and the thing I'd like to show or share, is it's kind of some mule deer habitat 101. There's a lot of literature out there going clear back to the 1960s and as recent as 2020 that shows that mule deer will use approximately 600 feet, between 600 and 700 feet out into an opening. And so that means an opening of about a quarter mile across gives them access to the whole thing. The biologist from the Forest Service specifically designed this, saying, let's use that quarter mile and just go in and out and in and out and in and out. And if you look right there, you can see 2 previous projects that are bigger, had bigger openings. The one on the top there was an old historic one, and I've done the deer classification on that route for years and have just watched the deer steadily decrease. We lost a lot of cover there. It's a reality, lesson learned. The next one, the South Canyon one, which is, yeah, there. I think it's better if you turn the color off and just see the landscape. You can see the projects. These were done 4 or 5 years ago. Again, they're bigger than the quarter mile, but they're definitely smaller. We left some cover, and the deer have loved this project.
So
You
this
still get good edge effect.
still get a lot of good edge effects. So the point being, sometimes when we're working with partnering agencies all the time, they have other objectives as well. And so sometimes there is a happy medium where we say, okay, we can go more than the quarter mile, and still meet those objectives. And that project there demonstrates that the deer absolutely love it. Use that to death. But this project specifically, when they went to design it, they said, our purpose is mule deer. And so let's design it at the quarter mile width opening and did all the ins and outs and everything that go with that. So this is perfectly designed, well done mule deer habitat restoration project. With that, we're just looking for the funding now to do the year 2, which is the mastication implementation, which would include the seed and the mastication and the flag. You can, yeah, that's the stuff that we locked and scattered already on the border of some sage-grouse habitat. So I think there's starting to get into the stuff we would do the mastication. This is the stuff that we'll be doing the mastication. And so we'll be creating some great openings in some stuff that's not there. And it'll go back one. This is what it'll ultimately look like with quarter mile openings, providing great habitat. So
What did the groups put on this one this year?
they put something. I stood up there and they funded it. Tyler tried to stop them. So
Did I?
after I told him who did that first project, he wasn't very happy.
107.
They funded it last year.
And I should point out, there's NRCS funds on this one as well. 500,000 of NRCS funds helping to implement this project.
Wow.
Yeah, almost 600,000.
Yeah.
Plus gift money.
What?
It's like $1,000.
Asking for 40 from us.
You bet.
Is the seed mix, is it like set in stone? Can we bring that down a little? It's $186 an acre right now.
Yeah, I would assume we've got to discuss that.
Will you guys help me out before we do our final funding meeting on this one? I'd like to see you bring the seed mix down to around 100.
Yeah.
Let's do the bull hog at $400 an acre instead of $450.
Okay.
And then if there's anything that you guys saved from the year 1, I think you had like 75. Yeah, let us know if there's anything left over. And this one becomes much more manageable.
Yeah, there's a big WRI ask on this one. So 40 grand from us.
Is this a Forest Service with a native only mandate?
I'll have to ask Mike if there's a native only mandate on it or not.
It feels like it.
Does it spends like it?
Yeah.
Just do what you can with Mike to trim that.
Habitat Council put 40 on it last year and 40 this year is what they're asking for. And this is the same percentage breakdown as last year.
And how much ECP to total? 80, you said, or 100?
107.
107.
Nice to put some ICP on it too.
And you guys finished the lop and scatter?
Yeah. Okay, project. Other questions? We have 2 weeks to make those changes.
Yep.
Yeah. We have a motion on this one.
I'll make the motion to open it.
Okay, motion from Tyler.
Just to add to Tyler's direction, if it's not native only, maybe work to get some.
Oh yeah, that's the big 3. We'll get
Okay. Understood. Thanks. Second.
Okay, second from Kobe. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Okay, motion passes. So not. Okay, 7767 Upper Valley, South Palo.
Hello, I'm Gus. I am also a habitat biologist. I'm partnered with the Forest Service down in Escalante on the Boulder Mountain. This project is kind of a continuation of other projects we've done in the Upper Valley, which is just as you're going towards Escalante. This is kind of some summer range, migratory range. It's kind of an interesting spot. So what we're looking to do is to do 670 acres roughly of mastication, and that was funded by ECP dollars. And what I'm looking for today is some money for some water improvements. One of the things with this area, it's pretty dry, and the deer and elk are having to travel. Sometimes, depending on the time of year, we'll travel across the highway to get a drink. So I'm wanting to try and keep as much water on the south side of the road as we can. And so, yeah, that's this year we're I think the total ask today is around 25,000 for the pond and spring redevelopment. If you scroll down a little more, you can see what the spring looks like. Keep going. I have truck camera pictures right here. Yeah, click on. So this is what the spring looks like, and it on years where we have water, it'll just kind of pool up and do fine. But I'm wanting to put a trough in, redo the head collection box, and kind of rework it so we can keep some water there, because it dried up this last summer. It dried up in July. As you can see, wildlife already use it, and then we're going to add a guzzler. Part of this was we're doing some erosion control work that's being funded through a private company that had an oil spill, and they're having to pay some abeyance funds, but that's not really, that's just kind of a sidebar to the project. But like I said, the sun folder, so it's a good opportunity to kind of tidy up some loose ends and then add water. That's one of the things that I believe the boulder needs is a few more water resources.
So the group jumped on this one. They funded the mastication completely.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's 300 grand right there.
So we're
And
left
you've
with
got
21,000.
88 grand from the private company mitigation money, and so 21.7 from us.
No brainer.
Cool. Any questions on this? Any other questions on this? Comments? Okay, go to motion.
Move to approve.
Okay, go to second. Second. And motion from Kobe, second from Tyler. All in favor, say aye.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. Next one, 7785 Oak Creek prescribed burn. Love these.
My name is Inigo Montoya, and this is a noble project. Fat babies, fat mamas.
Come to the species list. Don't prepare to die.
This is an 8,000 acre fire on Boulder Mountain. Part of it burned about 20 years ago. They'd like to start in that part that already burned and then move into some spruce fir, Micacon stuff that's gonna regenerate aspen. The track record here has been really good. The species list is rich. This is from the what tool that we use in the Division of Wildlife Resources, vetted with our non-game biologist in Cedar and the Forest Service biologist there in Willow. The ask is they want to do 3,000 acres worth of fire. They need helicopter time to light it. I'm hoping that this has the same outcome over in Last Chance. They lit 1,000 acres in Last Chance. We got 3,300 acres out of it. So I'm hoping we light 3,000 acres here and get 9 or 10 or 15 or 100. I don't care. It all needs help. That's what it looks like. I mean, it's dog hair thick and it's pretty rough. We don't have much wildlife use within the project area because there's just not much there for them. But we've got the potential there, I think. So let's go make some fire, put some significant capital.
This is a cheap project for that many acres.
So they're just asking for helicopter time. Everything else.
Yep, they're gonna cover the rest. Yep.
So there's a ton of in kind in this that we're probably not completely capturing, I assume.
No, it's captured. The Forest Service has got 105,000 of in kind.
Is that really all that this costs to get done? Is 100?
No, they'll spend more, but they're gonna cover it. And the Mike Elson this is his number one priority for this year.
And we,
Forest supervisor
this is-
for the boulder.
we need this one times about 10 on that. One.
Why is it big game only at 100?
Well, that's why I put the species list up there in case you wanted to make a few adjustments there.
Right.
There's a lot of values there.
But it's mostly big game project,
Yeah,
right?
mostly big game.
Really?
You could add some upland. I mean, fire projects, aquatics doesn't get super excited about fire projects, right? Drew's not looking at this being like, come on. This creates work for aquatics, doesn't solve a lot of problems for aquatics,
Lifetime work.
so. Yeah,
Hopefully the region's tuned into that.
oh, I think they've been working together.
Yeah.
They've been working together, I know that's true.
We're hoping that in the Elk Creek drains, this will be a low severity fire just because of what we burned 20-ish years ago. And the lower portions of the Pleasant Creek fire shouldn't be affected much by it. So we'll have some go across under the rim, just underneath the Pleasant Creek meadows where it's steep and rocky. So we're hoping there's not a lot of impact there.
Okay. Other questions on this?
So if we're amenable, I would diversify and add between 5 and 10% upland.
Okay.
And then, yes,
Sure.
Austin, you feel better about that?
For what? 10?
Yeah,
10 or
I motioned for 95-5 split.
95.5. That's right.
Okay, so is that an official motion, Austin?
Yes.
Okay, I have a motion from Austin, a 95-5 split. Have a
And to
second,
approve the project in a second.
a second from Kobe.
Yeah.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. All right. We're good on that one. Okay, thanks, Jim. 7799 Three Creeks allotment.
Okay, this one is almost a cut and paste of the one I just gave you a few minutes ago. If you go to the map, we can at least orient you a little bit. Zoom out just a little bit. Three Creeks is on the north end of the Penguins unit, but you can see Penguins down there. So it's the plan is very similar to what we were doing in 5 Mile. So this is also a 2-year project, but this is for year 1. So we're just getting started here. We're looking at 600 acres of bull hog, 1,100 acres of lop and scatter, about 20,000 feet of fence, 30 acres of rabbit brush mow, 24 acres of a lop pile and burn, and 32 ponds. Again, it's been designed with big game in mind, deer specifically. A lot of good stuff there. We're partnering with some private land and a forest service together in the same project, which is always a good thing. If you just look at a couple of the pictures, except for the very last 2, don't look at those. So, yeah, just the classic in the PJ. So just doing the right thing, trying to create some openings, create some good habitat. I think there's definitely some sage grouse benefit in this one as well. And then some aerials of the ponds, and then skip the last 2 pictures.
Don't skip them.
Don't skip them or skip them.
This is the Forest Service biologist down there, Mark Willow. He has some personality, an awesome guy. You know, a lot of good stuff for wildlife, working together with Mike Coleman. You're gonna have the same questions you had on 5 Mile. The seed mix is really expensive. So I'm taking the same notes already that yes, we'll have those discussions. I sent the text in between standing up here to Mike asking those questions already. Assume same thing with the bull hog. We probably can pull that price down.
Oh, Andy's gonna pull her support in her 10% if it's 500 acres of it's to remove Russian olive.
Was that? I missed that.
Thanks, Connie.
Yeah, it is there. 500 on 8 acres of private land.
Oh, it's the 500. Where did I miss that?
$500 an acre for 8 acres.
Destroying 8 acres of upland, but we'll charge you for 10% of the
But it's on
project.
private, so why are we doing that on private?
It's a good question that I probably can't answer. I'm pinch hitting today. Didn't get deep enough to see that question coming.
Sorry, I didn't mean to do that.
No, it's fair. I will ask the question. I think it's a really expensive project that that's a minor portion of, but I can ask the question back and say, is there a reason?
We'll just say that NRCS money is paying for that.
Yeah, that's on private land. So,
Probably is, honestly.
right.
Hey, on that biggest section, that was already treated, correct? Where you're doing the lop and scatter, wasn't that already cut a while ago?
Yeah, yeah. So it'd be a retreatment type of lob and scatter.
How old is that?
Does it show up as a previous project, or are we talking?
That's
Old.
Temps Hollow, so that's, yeah, 862, that's back in Tyler today, probably. Did you do that one too?
No, that was Nate Jorgensen.
Did you guys cut all the trees?
Remember, Gary?
Crash the tractor
Too
on that
many
one?
projects.
Yeah.
Did you crash the tractor on that one?
No, that's not the one I crashed there.
That was close up.
Okay.
2008.
Okay. Other questions on this?
Austin, that's like probably 18 to 20 years back.
Yeah, I found 2008, looked like.
Oh, wow.
So that does illustrate kind of an interesting point. You know, we do maintenance on projects and learning and understanding what is that increment and when we come back. I think when we do a really good job as a contract monitor and make sure they don't leave little green things at the bottom and things, I think we can extend that life. But I think between 20 and 40 years, maintenance is an expected thing in any Jennifer project.
Well, the other part is like, if you can get maintenance come back to the lot scattered, set up as a bullseye,
Yeah,
like you
yeah,
said.
it's a lot cheaper at this point too.
Yeah. No seed, no, yeah.
So there's a big WRI ask on this one. Do you know what that's shaking out?
Speaking of the upland game, there's definitely sage grouse in the area, and then there's definitely turkeys in that area where those Russian olives are. So
There were turkeys.
Now, when you take those out.
Number 3 statewide.
What's that?
Number 3 statewide.
Also Tyler's fun on this one for sure too.
Some of it.
Is
This
there,
good project, relatively low ask.
yeah.
Yep.
Yep. Okay, good motion on this one?
and like I said, I'll take the same questions back. I think they're fair questions. I think they did estimate on the high side. We need to ask the hard questions about if the seed mix is necessary at that price. So
My last question is just along Highway 20 there. I mean, we used to kill a lot of deer on the highway right there back in the 90s when there was a lot of deer in this area, but this is going to make it worse for crossing right there because that's a horrible curve.
Well, Austin, I would expect that the stuff that we're doing right adjacent to the highway, I think was more, if you click on it, Allison, I guess it's the rabbit brush mow.
Okay.
So it's probably, yeah. So this isn't stuff, but generally speaking, being able to increase visibility, if we were removing PJ, it makes it, we as a practice try to actually remove PJ along highway corridors where we have issues. And have seen a lot of success in decreasing. It doesn't get rid of it altogether, but by increasing visibility for both the animals and for the people at a greater distance, we can decrease those collisions.
Copy.
Okay, any other questions on this?
I'll make the motion to approve it.
Okay, got a motion from Tyler. Do I have a second? Second from Blake. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. All right. One passes. Okay, we're trucking right along. 7889 Indian Peaks.
Stay up here for this one. This is a project put together on the Indian Peaks Wildlife Management Area out on the Southwest Desert. We're at phase 7 or 6.
It's a big area.
Yeah, it's a property that fills a big niche out there on the Southwest Desert, where we're able to provide quite a haven for significantly for elk, and we're trying to do things to increase for deer out there as well. Previous phases, we have done a lot of stuff. We've been working our way through. It's a 4-mile square, so we've been working our way through replacing the fence around the boundary. It had a really old fence, and we were having a ton of livestock trespass, and we also have wild horses out there. So we worked our way through. We did the south boundary 3 years back. We did the east boundary 2 years ago. Then we took a year off, but we're ready to go again and do that north boundary rebuild fence. And then there's a small corner in that northeast corner that there's a maintenance lop and scatter. This one I think is probably more in the neighborhood of a 40 to 50-year-old treatment, but it's time to get the little trees out of there while it's cost effective. They coach us that we're not supposed to talk about the sensitive species, but I'm going to tell you about the prairie dog part of this project because I think it's one of the better things we can do for mule deer in the area. Kobe's kind of leading the way statewide on an idea similar.
Okay, Curtis.
Yeah. In a very similar way. So we've introduced Utah prairie dog on the property, and from a multiple angles, there's a lot of good reasons for that. For conservation of the species, but it also helps with funding through WRI. We have a species that it helps with the stuff. But the actual project we're doing in this area where we've reintroduced them, we want to mow the sagebrush and then plant a really nutrient-rich seed mix. And Kobe's doing that same thing on Cinnamon Creek and other places where we're trying to increase get a bunch of alfalfa, small Burnett, same point out there. And so what do we call it? Is islands of nutrition, but it's
sure.
Same like somebody had a name for it. Kevin Gunnell, I don't know where he is, but there's a USU's doing some research on some of the WMAs as well, where they're doing little islands of treatment, just trying to create high valued forage in small spots.
We're in the West, so we don't want to use the word food plot.
Yeah, but it's a food plot. Yeah, sure. Whatever you want to call it. And the reality is where the prairie dogs are, it's deep soils, the good stuff. And so I think we have a high probability of growing some really good mule deer food in the middle of our prairie dog plots. And so I brought the prairie dogs up because I do think we're doing a lot of good things for mule deer by treating the prairie dog stuff. So, and then there's also, we just will continue working down what we call the South Creek drainage, just continuing to add BDAs and Z-dikes. We've got a contractor that we're just kind of using every year with a certain amount of money, and he just keeps working his way down and making a lot of improvement. We've followed the lead of the Northeast region. We're starting to like drill pipe fence, so we've kind of converted to that. That's probably the biggest expense in this year's project.
Is that drill pipe fence? Is that keeping the horses out?
Yeah, so far.
Well, the other part is like if you put up the other fence, it's just ruined.
Yeah,
they'll just run through it.
Yeah. So I don't recall, does the Southern Region have drill pipe close by, or you got to haul?
We have been, some of the fencing contractors have kind of developed this as, it's definitely growing in popularity statewide. And so they have it available.
Have supplies available.
We've had fencing contractors actually ask us if they can use drill pipe instead of cedar posts because that's more available to them. And to us, we're like, yeah, that's an upgrade. So we accept that.
Do you guys still haul your nuisance beavers out there?
When we get done with BDAs, we hope to take some out there again. Yes, it's not, we haven't been in a while, but yeah.
I'm looking forward to them surviving after BDAs.
Yeah, I'm not aware that we've taken any out there in a while, but
I took the last one.
Yeah, and shot it.
Should just shot it. You probably didn't have a chance.
Anyway, so there's 50 grand ask on here from Habitat Council. WRI's got 124.
What's the status of the fence on the east side of the WMA or the other sides?
So if you go back to the map, I can walk you through that again. South side is complete, east side is complete, and then that north side is the one we want to do this year. And then the west side is the last one. We've got a big prescribed fire we'd like to pull off in the next 1 to 10 years. Who knows?
Been in the planning stages for many years.
Yeah, I actually need to talk with Tyler and Daniel and Allison about, we have a cooperative agreement with Forestry Fire State Line to do a prescribed fire that expires July 1st and see if we're gonna be able to carry that over because they've had some turnover and we thought we had momentum and we lost it. So, but anyway, we're gonna for sure wait on that west side until we pulled off the big fire because that's
Didn't Phelan just finish the NEPA out there?
yeah, the NEPA is complete. So we may pull off the big fire before we pull off the little fire.
I think that's always been the best option, honestly.
It is.
I have the drip torch.
Yeah. Yeah, Gus is getting red carded here in a couple of weeks, so maybe we'll just turn it.
Gus and Daniel light fire.
Yeah, there we go.
I mean,
okay.
I don't know if anybody loves building fence, but like I also understand the need.
This is a place that is absolutely necessary.
Yeah, and the horses and
so like I'm supportive of it.
Over the years, I've
And
watched
this-
our horse population go up to 50, down to 2 or 3, up to 50, down to 2 or 3. It's just, we just can't, without a solid fence, we'll never stop that fluctuation.
This is just an important piece of property for us to manage well, so always supportive of these projects. Okay, other questions? On the motion,
I'll move to approve this one.
okay, got a motion from Kobe, got a second?
Second.
Second from Angie. All in favor, say aye.
Thank you, guys.
Any opposed, say no. Okay, we're gonna try to push through and finish these up before lunch. Kobe and I have got a hard stop at 12. We've got 5 more projects here, 6 projects, so. And then we'll stop at noon for lunch. So that's what we're gonna try to do here. So 7890 Lost Creek. You have like 3 minutes or less. I guess I'm looking at the clock now. I'm not sure we're gonna make that actually. No, I'm just seeing that. Okay, that's fine. We'll just finish out the last 3 for the region and stop there. That's what we have to do.
My name is Kendall Bagley. I'm a habitat restoration biologist out of the Mitchell area. So this Lost Creek project is on the north end of the Fish Lake plateau, put together by Kelly Cornwall with the Forest Service there out of Richfield, and it also encompasses some projects on what we refer to as the Valley Mountains. So, kind of right there by Aurora, between Aurora and Scipio, the mountain range that comes through there. So this project is put together and critical habitat for mule deer, elk, and turkeys. Has a little bit of benefit to sage grouse associated with some of the dry farms on the Sitla piece. They're looking to lop and scatter 4,390 acres and do some wet meadow work around 50 acres. With the wet meadow work, you'll be able to see with some of these pictures, Clint Wyrick's really done a good job working on some private on the Bar J CWMU there, as well as working on some of the Boogie Hole CWMU. These are some pictures that we looked at last year. It's up by kind of by Rex's Reservoir on the end of this unit, and you can see kind of what it looks like when Clinton gets done. He does a lot of contract work with USU and puts some money into DWR through a cooperative agreement. He's done put these projects together. It's really paid a lot of benefits in these wet meadow areas and a lot of the work that's been done. So we're looking at do around 50 acres, I think, with this project proposal. Also, Rejubra, been talked about today. We're looking to retreat some of the areas on this Lost Creek phase, 1,786 acres, with an opportunity to install 2 boss tank guzzlers. The funding was provided for the boss tank guzzlers, what we refer to as the rocks. Craig Rasmussen and RMEF, I think, funded the 2 guzzlers, and then we also were looking to pick up a couple more guzzlers. See, kind of Clint getting busy right here. This is his first ranching job. Gone to a Brandon, so he likes to be involved with Ryder Ripstein and those guys at Park J. So it's always fun to include some of the cooperative in kind and some of the guys from the CWMUs that are real avid about doing this type of work on their properties. This was the #1 ranked project in the Southern Region overall through WRI. The #1 ranked local project with the Mule Deer Working Group. #4 Mule Deer project in the Southern Region. #7 Elk project in the Southern Region. And the #6 Turkey project in the Southern Region. Feel like we can get the whole project done for about $201 an acre. We're within the objectives for elk on the Fish Lake, or below objective for mule deer on the Fish Lake. So through ECP, we received $140,000. April 1st, the habitat request is $30,000 for this project this year. We've had partners in the past, BLM, Forest Service, Sitla, DWR, obviously the private land ownerships with the CWMUs that we're working with. So, any other questions associated with this?
Questions?
Your rejuver is way cheaper than Torrey's, $25 an acre.
I get my drop ship right in Ridgeville.
Number one ranked project in the state. Congratulations.
Congratulations goes to Kelly. He's done a great job over the years with this project. We've had a lot of partnerships with it. The BLM's bringing a lot of money to this one as well.
Yeah, big BLM money, big WRI money that's going through. Our ask is 30 grand. Okay.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you very much.
Okay. A motion from Angie and a second from Jeremiah. Oh my gosh. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
On the opposed, say no. All right, passes. Okay, two more really quick. 7905 Oak Springs, phase one. Who's up for that one? You got 2 minutes.
Oak Springs is not as noble a project as the Boulder Mountain. We've got two different sections. We've got some harrow work south of Highway 24, and we've got some bullhog work north of Highway 24. These are primarily big game projects with some sage grouse and UPD benefits down there on the southern portion. The big game portion is right along Highway 24 near the rest area and the turnoff that goes down the hill to Share Res. We've had really good luck treating them in the past on the forest property. Some projects that Kendall did along with Greg Rasmussen. So this is just a continuation of that work there. We've included some stuff here on highway mortality because we expect this to help with killing or not killing deer and elk along the road, like that poor lady that met an elk. These are just some shots we took of historical imagery to show how those trees have expanded, and we just want to get those trees then back out again. So that's it. I didn't exceed my time limit.
Okay. Looks like we've got a bunch of BLM money on this. WRI 20 grand from us. Questions?
This is just the very north end of the Parker, I guess. Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's that lower section treatment is actually on the park road. We call it Parker because it's South Highway 24 right there at the Wayne Summit.
Okay.
But mostly a maintenance project, right?
Yeah, well, it's taking trees back.
Yeah.
40 years, 50 years. Wait a minute, how old am I? Long time.
Okay, questions?
Motion to approve.
All right, got a motion from Blake. A second.
Sure.
Second from Tyler. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Okay, motion passes. Last one from Southern Region, Watts Mountain Habitat Improvement. Yep, thanks, Jim.
So with Watts Mountain, this one is on the Pavant Mountain range. It's a summer habitat project to lop and scatter 2,300 acres on Forest Service. Last year we funded the initial chain harrow project, and so that was funded through ECP dollars. We're waiting for the archaeology to come back, and we'll hopefully be able to complete both phase 2 and phase 3 of this project this fall. So a high mountain area, good transition and summer range for mule deer and elk and turkeys. WRI, we're looking for 368,000. Habitat request is 50,000. The U.S. Forest Service has already contracted a portion of this project through some IDIQ funding at 417,000.
205 ECP money.
Yep, 205,000 was ECP.
And 50 requests for at least on our end of things.
Yep. Number 2 ranked mule deer project in the Southern Region. Number 1 ranked elk project in the Southern Region. And the local working group, it was the number 1 ranked project by them. So,
okay.
Good project. Good opportunities to partner the way we have in the past. So.
Okay, questions?
Do you like this one, Cody?
Sure.
It's gonna need some ICP.
Okay. We'll figure it out.
Your WRI number is going to be tough, huh?
It's a medium rank, so. but we pushed the sportsman's groups, they came through, so at least it'll get phased if it doesn't get fully funded.
The medium rank is my fault.
What are you asking for from WRI that you don't think you're gonna get?
113.
113.
To fully fund it.
All right, we'll figure it out.
It could be phased because it's 2,300 acres.
Okay.
Go sit and figure it out. Don't change subject. Okay.
Or we just
All right.
fund it, let you contract it and see if it goes for less than 175 an acre.
Yeah. Do I have a motion on this?
Yeah, I'm a good person.
Second. Got a motion from Kobe, a second to Jeremiah. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Okay, motion passes. All right, we are breaking for lunch. And we're gonna break until about 12:35 for lunch.
One.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We're starting back up. We've only got 3 more projects to review from our northern region. And we're going to start with project number 7682 of Bourbon 2027. So introduce yourselves and go ahead and present.
I'm Salina Giorgio. I'm a forest tech specializing in fields and silviculture on the Wasatch northern zone. So Evanston, Mountain View, and we also cover Logan and all the districts.
And I'm the North Zone silviculturist. And young.
So we're here to talk about the Bourbon project. This is a larger or a piece of a larger landscape scale project. We did the first phase last year. This is the second phase, and then we are also working on our key for the third phase. So in the middle of it, if you go to the PowerPoint, there's a couple maps that I think would be a little bit more helpful for my words. Thank you. So on the whole, the project is, if you can go to that first map. Oh, sorry, that's fine. You can just look through to the first map. It's like read back. Yep. So overall, the project is designed to enhance wildlife habitat diversity, restore critical ecosystems within the forest. The project area on the whole is identified as crucial summer range for mule deer, elk, and black bear, as well as crucial winter range for moose. So I bring this map up to just show last year's phases that were funded and completed are these sort of gray buffers around roads. This year's are the sort of orangey yellow gold ones, but we also have several other projects that have occurred. This is Highway 150, which is part of it was last year, part of it is this year. And then some of these other projects, this was like the West Bear area. They did a lot of mastication and other work. We did some deck sales and stuff. There were some even older prescribed burns and timber sales as well. So we've actually been working in this Whitney Lake or Whitney Reservoir landscape for going on over a decade at this point. The summer range enhancement would increase aspen regeneration as well as upland meadow and sort of removing conifer encroachment from those habitats as well as wet areas, and would support sort of how it intersects with mule deer, which we'll come back to in just a second. But I also wanted to highlight as a whole, like if you expand even out further from the Whitney landscape specifically, sort of on the Evanston and into Camas districts on the forest, we've had several very large scale fires in the last several years. And in this Whitney area, we're kind of missing that, right? So the work we're doing, it has a variety of objectives, right? Lots and lots of wildlife objectives. And this sort of tool we're using that fuels work to accomplish some of those objectives will hopefully avoid a big red blotch in the middle of our Whitney area as well. We have a lot of partnerships on this project, so I'll specifically speak to Mule Deer Foundation. They've done a lot of work with us. Here's some of our heat maps for mule deer in the area. Whitney Reservoir is probably one of the most popular parts of the Evanston Mountain View District for hunting as well as fishing, right? We have cutthroat in this area, and not just in the reservoir itself, right? But lots of the rivers and other tributaries of the rivers as well. And then moose. You see a lot of moose in this area, specifically in the winter, and all the project work would also benefit habitat for them. With that, I will turn it over to Mike.
So if you go back to that previous slide, so some of the work that we're doing is in partnership with TU and Anna Branch. So this is something that we did last summer. So creating those stock ponds. Doing this really helps to alleviate the pressure from livestock, like the sheep that graze in this area, and gives us the ability to restore those streams that are benefit to those moose habitats that we're looking to restore. So we're doing some of that, continuing some of that work. We're also doing some low-tech process-based restoration work, adding more BWAs and large woody debris into the Gold Hill, Mill City, and West Fork of Bear River, just above the Whitney Reservoir, to also, again, kind of improve the stream complexity in those channels, alleviate pressure from livestock. And, that will also benefit the cutthroat trout, vulnerable cutthroat trout habitat. So it's kind of big things.
Okay. Questions for these guys? Comments? Go ahead.
Online did not see the presentation. Oh, no.
Oh, I didn't share it.
Here, I just.
I had it pulled up in the documents, so I was seeing it myself, but probably no one else.
Well, they're trying to
Okay.
figure that out. My question is there some private
Yes.
in here? And I don't see that they're contributing at all to their.
Yeah, well, there's so Forestry Fire and State Lands, PJ's working with private landowner and he's working with Mule Deer. So they've got a separate agreement. So we just included that as part of the landscape connectivity part. So there's work happening adjacent to the Forest Service boundary. However, that the work that they're doing in Monticello and those communities is largely with Forestry Fire and State Lands and Mule Deer.
And we're not asking for.
They're asking.
Private land side,
Well, Forestry Fire and State Lands is the.
they're covering that part.
Yeah.
They're not covering that part. Forestry Fire is not covering that part. They're asking for that from WRI.
Oh, well, that's true.
Okay, so speaking of that, where are we at on ranking?
It's third highest ranked in the region. I think it's mid-30s statewide. It's a good project. It's really expensive. I mean, my question would be if we have to phase it and kind of underfund it. I think you guys are still all right with that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an area we've seen work in the past. We want to see work in the future. This work's just expensive. It's $800 an acre. So, forestry work ain't cheap.
And that's a
Any
total.
funding in ECP?
We did. I can't remember the exact number.
Hundred and
but-
twenty-seven thousand.
Thank you.
MDF put 100 of that in it because they like to heavily fund their own projects.
Something I think is cool about this area is it's one of the bigger pieces of public in the Chalk Creek unit that is all private. So this area gets a lot of use from the public hunters.
Tons and tons and tons. And I think scalable.
Yeah, and I think some of the price, the cost is because we have as you all know, there's a significant amount of bark beetle mortality in this area. So a lot of it is machinery work in some of these areas. So that just ups the cost when you bring in machines.
Volume's just too high to.
Whereas along the highway, it's handwork, going to be doing hand piling in there. And that's really to just have that landscape connectivity to connect into the Upper Provo project that's on the HK.
It was right up there by that. Wasn't even that fire Beulah or
Beulah.
Beulah?
Yeah.
And that was just right across the road from it, wasn't it?
It
Yeah.
wasn't too far, yeah.
I mean, if that would have started at a
Southeast.
different time of year. It
It
could
could
have
have.
been there,
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
So the goal here is to kind of slowly work through the forest restoration portion, but also try to armor it from a large scale.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a key pod boundary for
And
us.
these sort of roadside units allow us to then, once they're complete and provide that protection, allow us to work internally. Right. And in some of this Whitney area, there's a good chunk of internal area that we'll work on in the future.
So you have either NEPA completed for that
It is
or in
completed.
process?
We have, okay, my prescription is like 90% drafted. It needs Savannah's approval, but.
So the heritage surveys, we're kind of phasing out ahead of it.
Yeah, the RP clearance has already been
The RP
done.
clearance is done for this phase.
this phase.
And we have already got money funded for what we planned for our third phase to get the RP done this year.
And thanks to Ari, we should have enough for probably one more heritage contract. So we're probably 2 years ahead on that.
And it has $250,000 or so of Forest Service money in, so it's nice to see them putting money into the project.
Okay. Other questions?
Can we see the species breakdown? Oh, sorry, I meant from the finance side.
Finance. After you said that, I realized what you were asking.
Okay, thank you. Motion to approve.
Yeah, this is not a big ask, so.
I'll second it.
All right, got a motion from Blake, got a second from Tyler. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Okay, motion passes.
Thank you.
Okay. That project, 7903 Keg Springs Phase 2.
Keg Springs, this is out in.
Remember to introduce yourself.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
My name is Zach Oman. I'm a habitat biologist in the Northern Region. This is a BLM project out in West Box Elder on the east bench of the Grouse Creek Valley. The second phase of the project, the first phase treated 3,690 acres through mastication with seeding and flop and scatter. For this phase, the treatment would be a total of 4,700 acres. And this was ranked as our second, ranked number 2 for WRI in our region. Something interesting to point out here is just back in 2018 on the west side of the valley, the Goose Creek fire burned 132,000 acres over there. And so Brad Jessup with the BLM, recognizes the similarities on this side of the valley and is trying to get ahead of those things to mitigate a catastrophic wildfire. Mix of lop and scatter, mastication. The Keg Springs area itself, the USGS has been doing some pre-project monitoring to get some data. So post-project, we can see how that hydrological response is to the large-scale juniper treatments. I think that's the bulk of it. Brad's got some good pictures in here too to show current condition and past phases. Now, this was phase 1 of these first couple pictures. Moving into current conditions. If you look in the background there, you can see the fire scar on the other side of the valley of the Goose Creek fire. And then Keg Springs. Another kind of good thing this project has going for it is the BLM allotment where this project is actually a grass bank allotment, so it's not actively grazed right now. Hopefully meeting the results of the project will be that much better without having that livestock component post-treatment.
So I'll help Austin out this one. I think I need at least to take at least 10% on that one since it's sage grouse.
Yeah,
there's 2.
Yeah.
Year-round sage grouse habitat.
So, yeah.
That's very generous. You could spend all your money on sage grouse.
Non-game,
Sage grouse and turkeys.
non-game aquatic species as well with the western toad and the chub in the spring itself. It's a pretty important area.
So that BLM money, 851 grand is pretty solid. That's.
Yeah, they basically need money for seed, BLM, and then full treatment on trust lands, adjacent trust lands. Doing the right thing. They're doing what we ask.
They allow a good seed mix for us.
And it's $85 an acre for their seed mix. That's what we want them all to look like.
And ECP contributed 35,000.
Well, they're asking 20 from us then. And we're planning to adjust that percentage. Okay, a motion on this one.
Motion to approve with the adjustment.
Okay, got a motion from Jeremiah. A second.
Second.
Got a second from Blake. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Okay, motion passes. All right, last project of the day, and it's not even what?
If you have an old version, because I gave you a new list. They didn't need any more Habitat Council money.
So that was it.
That's it.
Oh, wow, okay. I thought there was like more. Okay. All right. Well, thanks, you guys. No, it caught me off guard. Okay, any
Christmas present.
All right, any questions about the projects we've reviewed today, or maybe we'll talk about our next meeting is scheduled for which date?
29th.
29th. Okay, so that's Wednesday, the 29th. That's here, 9 AM. We'll be done by noon. I think there will be a couple of habitat management plans to review that you'll get.
And there's a couple, one that we missed. Presented to the group. What was that?
Today? Or
No, it should have been at the
earlier?
bottom one.
Gotcha.
And
That's
then, Crockett will be back with his feasibility study.
Hey, see you guys.
The additional information that was asked for. You?
Right, I remember that.
Are you,
Okay.
are you gonna share the plan for Corbin Creek? What's gonna happen?
We're just looking at alternative funding for it, so this is hard to say at the moment. So that's forthcoming, there's not much more to say about it. So, in time. Any other questions? Okay, so the other thing to be thinking about is you saw a lot, especially big game projects today. At the next meeting, we'll want to set up a field tour. And so I think, trying to remember what we did last year. We're in Southern Region last year, weren't we?
Yeah.
And we were down by Willow. Yep. And so maybe just be thinking about something central, northern. We can go to Southern Region again too, or southeast, whatever. So just, we're not setting that now, but at that meeting next time on the 29th, we will. So, and then at that meeting, we basically are gonna go through those totals on the spreadsheet and figure out how far over we are and start talking about what ones that we're gonna keep and maybe what ones are gonna go on the maybe list. What else would you?
So you want to come prepared with maybe some projects that you think are low ranked for you or high ranked for you?
Yeah, the ones that you really want to see happen. We want to know that, and the ones that you're maybe less excited about, we want to know that too.
The only other thing I'd like to see is, as we go through these meetings, we kind of ask for follow-up from some of the project managers, like Gary, we asked him to look at those seed mixes. Do you keep notes of all that stuff? Just kind of going through that list of things, maybe sending a prompt out to the project managers to remind them that that was a request before the funding meeting. That's always helpful for me.
Yeah, I think like you mentioned Chris Crockett's planning to come back with some of that information, but there are some others, so we can do that. Okay.
Like Tori's already updated his, that we asked him today. Asked him about today, so he's already got that updated. So we'll get that update on the spreadsheet.
Okay. Sounds good. Riley calling me, but sure.
So they call right back. Finishing, right?
Yep. Okay, any other questions? All right, I have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay, non-debatable. Just go. Okay, we are adjourned.
All right.
All right. Thanks, everyone.